Hello everybody, KACHOW, you're all having a super magical Sunday. I'm Emily, also known as Wanna Be Mouseketeer. I'm here today to bring you a fun live stream with my favourite American pals. So today we'll be talking about Muppets Now, our thoughts on the show, because we're probably Muppets Now's only stans. Well, I don't know if we can classify as a stans, but we'll go into that detail a bit more later. And we'll also be talking about like Walt Disney World, because we just love Disney World more than anything else. So we're talking about the Muppets for about like an hour, and then we're talking about Disney World towards the end, but with banning cranes this time, as we had a very long discussion about cranes last time, kind of brought up by me, but it was fun at the time. So I'm going to introduce everybody one by one now. So what I'll do is I'll put the pictures on the screen, and then they explain who they are, what they do, what they stand for, and all that jazz. And I'm going to do it in alphabetical order so I don't get stick about having favourites. So first up, we have Andy from Andy's Playground. I'll go give you a little clap. So Andy, tell us more about you.
I'm Andy from Andy's Playground. I am a huge Muppet fan. I was previously working at Walt Disney World at Muppet Vision 3D, which was a total blast. Prior to that, I've also been involved in comedy, and I've just been obsessed with the Muppet Show, the OG Muppet Show, for a long time, and all things just Muppets in general. Super excited to talk about Muppets now, though, now that it's finally done.
Awesome. Okay, next up we have, alphabet. Disney, Disney. I think it's Rudd, but Kevin's waving, so I'm definitely going to pick Rudd. Rudd, introduce yourself.
Hello. Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm Rodrigo, better known as Disney Rod. My love for the Muppets has grown ever since I was thrown into the Muppet Vision group chat with all of these guys. So, I know Muppets has kind of been a part of my life all the time, but my love for it has grown over the last couple of months, and I'm excited to talk about it today.
Oh, okay. Next up is Kevin. Finally, he's on mute, but maybe we shouldn't tell him that.
Oui. Mon ami, je m'appelle Lafayette, the Lancelot of the. Oh wait, no, I did that wrong. Sorry. Hi ho, Kevin, DisParkPhoto. You guys caught us on Andy's stream last time. Same guy, just wearing a different shirt, so don't get alarmed.
I think this is the same shirt.
I think I know someone that has that shirt. I think I don't own it, but I think I know someone that has that shirt.
Oh. Okay,
that's my story.
Now we have the big decision: do we add Ryan or do we kick him out?
I think we should do it.
Okay. Ryan, yay! Ryan, tell us about that jazz.
Yeah, I'm Ryan. Ryan's Laughing Place. I grew up with the Muppets like just about everyone my age, because that's back when they produced everything and everything was on TV all the time. So I'm ready to get talking about Muppets now because I got a lot to say.
Awesome. Okay, right. So we start off, and we also hello to Kerry, hello to Sierra, who we love the most. And that is it. But apparently Sierra says that she is Andy's biggest fan, which I'm actually going to take offense to, but it's fine.
Yeah, I'm also going to fight for that title.
Yeah, I feel like there's a big like spot to fill.
I'm going to change my channel name to Andy's biggest fan, all right? What's up?
That's some commitment.
Okay, so first up, I thought we'd talk about what we'd like, because I feel like if we get that ball rolling, maybe it'll last longer than 2 minutes. So I feel like if we go like across the screen, it might be good. So I'll go first. So things I liked about the show. I did enjoy Muppets Now. It wasn't unwatchable. It was really good. I did enjoy watching it. It's nice to get to see the Muppets back on our screens today rather than watching like old reruns. I thought Miss Piggy was amazing. She's always a star, but I think really especially Sean, is that maybe the right word? In this show, I also really liked getting to see Beaker and Honeydew, because you don't really get to see them too often. And I thought it was nice how you got to see lots of different Muppets to what you normally got to see. More about that later. But all in all, if we had to give it like a number, I would give Muppets Now about a 5. So Andy, your turn to take the floor.
Hi. So I like, again, like what you're saying, I like seeing the Muppets in a different format, and I also like them seeing it in a modern format. It's so rare to be able to say that, because it's just kind of whenever they choose to come back, they come back. It's kind of like Justin Timberlake of, whatever they're wanting to be. Like they come back and they try to deliver on something. And sometimes it's good, sometimes, you never know. And so it's one of those situations where I was really happy to see them again. I was also thinking that they knew exactly which Muppets they wanted to present and show most of. And they also knew that, I think, even ahead of time, that people were not going to be used to the new Kermit voice. And so they very much limited Kermit's voice as well, and Kermit's appearances throughout the show, which I thought was kind of smart in what they were trying to do. Overall, I think they were definitely approaching it in the right way. There were just some issues that we'll talk about in a second. I definitely loved each of the segments, though. I think each of the segments were great ideas. But I'll go on why I didn't like some of them in a bit. I also liked a lot of the characters that they were shown. Some of them were new, some of them were old. So it was really nice to be able to see them working together as well. Overall, just to dovetail everything I was saying, my personal opinion on Muppets Now is probably a 6 out of 10.
Okay, interesting. Right, Rod, your pieces of thought.
All right, so I think, I like the approach that they took with it, more contemporary and modern look to the Muppets. And I felt like it got progressively better as the show went on. Like the first episode was a little iffy, but then they kind of started getting a hang of things, and then it started kind of improving more as they went on. So I actually did like that, and I'm actually excited to see what else they're gonna do. I really like the individual segments. I feel like Pepe's game show was like the star of the entire thing, and it really brought up everything. Especially because after the ABC The Muppet Show, Pepe became one of my favorite Muppets characters. And so just seeing him take on this like crucial, lifting the show mode, it was pretty cool. If I had to give it a score out of 10, I would agree with Andy. I would give it a 6.
Right. Kevin?
I mean, when you go fourth, I mean, you don't really have a whole lot left to say in terms of what's likable.
For Ryan.
I'll switch it up next time.
I mean, you guys pretty much hit everything on the head. That it's nice to see the Muppets in something modern, and them trying to give the Muppets some kind of new content to kind of, I don't want to say live on, but live on. And like Rod said, I mean, Pepe's game show was the best. And I mean, me and my girlfriend were talking about it last night, and we're like, is it a bad thing that this is the best part of the show? No, but it's just like these guys said, it was nice to just see the Muppets kind of in something new and, doing the best we can. And I'm going to give it a 4 out of 10.
Ooh, okay. Right. Ryan, do you have anything to add?
I actually do, because my favorite part was not mentioned. My favorite part was the Swedish Chef portions. I love them. It's very classic Swedish Chef. I appreciated the turkey, who I can't remember the name of now.
Camille? No.
Beverly Plume.
Yes, that was
Yes, I appreciated her. She's a character that I didn't know much about before this, because I don't really think she was big in anything. She might have been like a...
I think, was she created for this or no?
I think she's new, maybe. Andy?
I'll look it up.
Thank you, Kev. But that was my favorite part, hands down. I think that really saved some of the worst episodes, in my opinion. Because there was episodes where I didn't really like them. That being said, I did watch all of them back to back yesterday. So
he's preparing for the stream.
Also, I didn't watch most of them before. So I'm gonna give it I a 4 out of 10 probably.
Okay. Something I found interesting based on what you guys said is, I think, Rod, you made a comment about how you think would you like to be on the scene? Okay. Do you have anything to comment or add?
Yeah, really. Did you like it? Yeah.
That was it. Okay. It's my mum. Just don't even ask. But anyway, Rod, you made a comment. You said about how after the first episode it got better. So I don't know too much about how they film TV, but usually when you watch, for example, like Once Upon a Time, the first season they're getting used to it, and then they listen to audience feedback and perfect the second season. So do we think Muppets Now was filmed in order of episodes, or do we think it was filmed randomly and then they just edited it and stuck it together, random bits together, or do we think they were planned? And because what I don't get is I agree with you, like episode 3 I think was my favorite or something, and episode 1 wasn't. If they were all filmed at the same time, how could they possibly better, if you know what I mean? I don't get how they did that. But I don't know.
I mean, I think it I think they probably filmed the sketches as is and then probably pieced them together however the producers wanted to piece them together. I don't know, because it just didn't seem like there was a lot of flow that actually made sense as to what went into what episode. Like there was no common theme. The common theme was always the little bits in between involving Scooter or whatever conflict he ran into.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Okay. So next up, the question is what we didn't like as much about the show. Ryan, if you want to go first, and then we'll do this. Oh, it's like circle time. Do you have circle time in America? No?
In like kindergarten, yeah.
Yeah, it's circle time.
So I'm gonna offend you right now. My least favorite part was Miss Piggy.
Okay, it's okay. We're allowed to have different opinions.
But I did love Uncle Deadly.
Yes, I love him.
He was my saving grace in those portions.
Mm-hmm.
Because I am not a huge Miss Piggy fan to begin with, and she was Miss Piggy to the 10th degree in this show. They really upped her nonsense. But yes, so I really like that they broke it up with Uncle Deadly. Other than that, I can't really think of anything that I genuinely disliked.
That's good. Positive.
Yeah.
Okay, Kev.
Okay, so
He's got a list.
I'm agreeing with Ryan on this. I think Miss Piggy, as over the top as she is, I think they made her a little too over the top in terms of this show. One thing I definitely didn't like was episode 4, where Aubrey Plaza was the guest.
Mm-hmm.
I think apparently that's just how Aubrey Plaza is. She's just very weird like that. But at the same time, to have Miss Piggy being the one to do the interview with her, it's like great. I understand why we're trying to do this. Like when Fozzie interviewed Seth Rogen, comedians, boom, makes sense, love it. But the way that the sketch went about, and the fact that here's times to showcase other Muppets that we maybe normally don't get to see. Case in point, Piggy was in 2 sketches that episode. Kermit was in Legal Advice with Joe. But if this is an area where this is gonna be the voice of Kermit going further, kind of going back to our previous discussion that we had on this, you're going to want to give him as much exposure as possible to get people used to him. And if you're only including him in one little piece, and he's supposed to be the leader of the gang and the boss, why are we not seeing him as much as we should? I just think there were a lot of missed opportunities, and the fact that, I'm sure someone else will touch upon this later, but the fact that there was no interaction with the gang, there was no theme song, there was just a lot of missed opportunities. As I mentioned, the likeness, step in the right direction, but it just didn't do much for me. Like I didn't find myself needing to watch every episode Friday when it came out.
Right.
Basically everything that was just said, I completely agree. I actually do want to talk about that, about what Kevin said about Kermit's new voice. In order to get used to the new voice, we need to hear it. And I feel like Kermit wasn't given enough action in this show. And that's something like, Kermit is like the leader of the Muppets. When you think about the Muppets, the first one you think about is Kermit. And he barely comes out. All he does is, all right, just don't do this at home. That was like the majority of his stuff that he did. So I feel like we should have seen more Kermit. Also, I wasn't the biggest fan of Miss Piggy's segments. But besides that, I do like the individual segments, and I do feel like they're going to improve on this show as it continues on. So, staying optimistic here, I think that they'll touch up on all of these things, improve it, and it'll just get better. So.
Andy. So
I agree with
names. Names. It's like,
No, I agree with what Rod is saying too. I believe, and what Kevin's saying too about Kermit's voice. But in my opinion, I think it was getting better. And part of the reason, sorry, I'm going to take just a quick piggyback off of that. I believe that it was getting better in the sense that I was also listening to other things like interviews I hear with Kermit the Frog or like some of the Instagram videos. And the more I would hear the voice, the better it sounded. Like the more accustomed I was to it. See, the thing is, it's such a different take from Whitmire and then Henson that we're not used to it. We grew up our entire lives hearing Whitmire and Henson's take on Kermit, and Whitmire's is so close to Henson. It's a little bit more softer version of Henson. I think it's not quite as growly, I guess, if that's the word I'm looking for. So this was such a completely different turn for the character, and so it's a lot to get used to, and I think that's what Disney understands as well. And I hope that they use Kermit more. I hope that they bring in the Muppets more. I don't want them just to have one season of this. I want them to keep working on it, because the problem is with my issue with the show is there are several segments, and each one of these segments is great, but there's so many points during the segment, almost in every episode, where it runs a little bit too long, or they hit a point too hard, where, like, for instance, the joke, okay, we got it, we got the joke, move on to the next bit, or is this still going on? Like, why am I still sitting through this? My biggest issue with that was the Aubrey Plaza interview, and honestly, that segment as a whole, I forgot what it's called, but that segment, Up Close and Personal.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, so that segment as a whole is so rough because it's just, you don't know what are they trying to do. It's like they're holding an interview with someone, but then there's something that goes wrong, or there's some kind of gimmick with it, and that's okay. Like the best case I saw with that was Fozzie's interview. I thought that was great. I thought it was hilarious. But even during that segment, there are parts I'm like, okay, this is kind of running a bit long. You could probably cut this a little bit. Seth Rogen looks very uncomfortable. And I mean, like, Aubrey Plaza was looking uncomfortable in her interview. And RuPaul was the only one I saw that was not looking uncomfortable in their interview. And so it was difficult to sit through that segment. That was my least favorite segment out of all of them. I definitely think, though, the overall thing is just each segment had either a joke or something that would be too long or something like that. And that was just my one issue with it.
I don't know, the baby that kept saying Rogen's last name over and over. I mean, that was hilarious.
That was hilarious. Again, I love that. But I think there was like one or something in there that was like kind of taking me out.
Yeah, I think my biggest thing, I don't know if this is because I'm British, I could tell you who two of the celebrities were. I knew who Linda Cardellini is, I guess that's her name, and I know who RuPaul is, that's it. I could not tell you who any of the other people was. I've personally never heard of them. So it's a bit like when you watch a show and they've got a celebrity and like you want to know the celebrity. Like I didn't know any of the chefs, but like there are so many, again, this could be because I'm British, so many more famous chefs that they could have picked from. I also found like with Miss Piggy, I think I do agree she was very over the top. And I feel like, you know, in the 2015 ABC series, even though it's Miss Piggy's show, like it wasn't her show. Like Kermit was running that show still, kind of thing, with regards to like screen time. Whereas this one, I do think they really like missed the mark. And I think the segments, why keep repeating the same thing? Because I feel like they really struggled to make like individual segments funny enough alone. Like why do it 5 times? Like I feel like if each episode, like say for example, you had Miss Piggy's lifestyle, like maybe like twice, like that would have been funnier rather than like, for example, even with like Bunsen and like Honeydew, like there's only so many times you can keep doing this. I think if each Muppet, for example, like Rizzo had his own, and like Fozzie Bear like had his own, like each Muppet had its own segment, I think it would have been a lot funnier because it was just repetitive. And I feel like with any kind of movie, like a Disney movie or the Muppets, there is a formula to these things. It's like you have A and B and it equals funny. Like for example, with a Disney movie, you have nowadays anyway, you have a strong female, you have a love interest, you make a good movie. And I feel like with the Muppets, they knew what they had to do and they just didn't do it. They tried to step away from it and I think it just didn't work. I think it'd be interesting to see like a show of hands, like it sounds like I'm in school, that's my teacher going through. But like raise your hand if you think there's going to be a second series, because I don't think there is. I personally don't. I think maybe they'll go off a different kind of show, maybe in like 5 years' time. But I don't see Muppets now coming back simply just because, like, when I spoke to people, they had no idea what I was on about with the show. And it just, for me, like, sometimes the Muppets, like, you will get, like, a hearty laugh out of me. And I just found I was, like, almost, like, forcing myself to laugh. Like the Miss Piggy lifestyle, like, the title of the, like, the short, whatever you want to call it, sketch. It was funny the first 2 times. So I've done it 6 times. It was not funny anymore. And I feel like they were just, like, were really reaching. But I didn't, like, it's watchable. It's not Muppets funny. It's just like, yeah. Like, I feel like if they like put us on the board of like directors of the show, like we would have done better. And we have like minimal experience between us, like running a show. Just like, I don't know, it didn't have the Muppet magic that like it normally does have. I feel like even the movies were better. Like Muppets Most Wanted was like better than Muppets Now, and I feel like that's saying something. But I definitely just think they needed more famous celebrities if you're going to put celebrities in, and a bigger array, and more Fozzie Bear, more Rizzo. Like they just like you have key Muppets characters that everybody loves, and you're not using them, and it's like I love Miss Piggy, but Sis has got to move out of the spotlight. But that's just my thoughts. So I think next final question was what would we change about the show? Oh, Andy's
Sorry, I had one that just came to my mind while you were talking, because I was like thinking, like, what made the Muppet movies better than this show? What made other, shows better than this one? And I almost wonder, if we need more musical numbers, or if they could possibly have that thrown in there, because that's also something that's really just classic Muppets. Is their musical numbers? It's their it's the passion that they give to each of their characters. I think giving them the freedom to be able to run a sketch and maybe write a sketch how they want it, or like almost getting rid of the whole stream concept maybe, and making it more of a show. Kind of like the Muppet Show. Like what they're trying to do is they're trying to take the Muppet Show from the 70s and they're trying to make it into like 2020. Like instead of the whole stage presentation, which I mean theater in the sense that's theater, and they're trying to make it more of a streaming like Netflix kind of thing. I get it, 100% that works, except it just kind of cuts out a lot of the cool jokes that they can make in between. Like even having Statler and Waldorf more, like that would be something I would encourage more, is a little bit more Statler and Waldorf instead of just one episode. I think that would be something that'd be very helpful. So musical numbers, maybe more Statler and Waldorf, and maybe try to push away from the streaming, maybe try to make it just a very free flowing, or at least have better jokes in between sketches.
I think for me, if I was going to change anything, I don't think the Muppets require celebrities. I think the celebrities almost made the show worse. I think the Muppets themselves, like, rather than having Miss Piggy and someone, I did like that guy. Was he Tay Dick? I don't know. I've never heard of him. I thought he was really good. He's probably really famous. It's probably really bad. But
he's not really famous, but yeah, he's been around.
What does he do?
So like one of his most important credits to his name is just he was in the original Broadway cast of Rent. He was actually married to Idina Menzel. Yeah. Okay,
right. Kind of a big deal. But I feel like the Muppets bounce off each other better than they do with celebrities. Like, for example, Seth Rogen, that lady you mentioned, I was just sat there with my dad. I was like, can we just like fast forward it? It was so awkward. And it's like the thing I just don't get. Again, I get trying to be different. I get trying to like step away from that old stuff. But if characters bounce well together, like, did we even see Kermit the Frog and Miss Piggy together once?
Yes.
Yes.
Maybe once.
During the Linda.
That was it. That was it. This is what I mean. It's like these characters are known together. Like, why separate them? And like somebody mentioned earlier, like there was no theme song, there was no big group together. And I think the reason the ABC show was so like successful, like in my opinion, was because everyone was together. Everyone was bouncing off different people. It was funny. There wasn't too much of one character. Everyone had a mix. You got to see more of like the characters, like Pepe and things like that. And I just think they really just missed the mark. But I feel like the show also, like, I mentioned in the last episode about that streaming pop-up thing. It's still really bugging me to this day. So I
didn't see it on my version when I watched it.
I've watched it on my phone. I've watched it on my laptop. I've watched it on my TV, and I saw it trending on Twitter. So it is really quick. But if you're looking for it, like, it is there, kind of thing.
It was in the Miss Piggy segment, right?
Yeah, and like it is there. Like, it's something that they just didn't pay for, like the editing software. I'm assuming, or it was supposed to be funny, which it wasn't. And I just feel like maybe Muppets Now will go ahead because it seems like not very expensive to make, because you've only got like 2 Muppets in the thing at one time, some like Z-list celebrity, like, I don't know.
Well, here's my thing about it continuing is, one, there's a little bit of hope in me that it does continue, just because of I'm going to use the word lack of Muppets content on Disney Plus. Even though there's not a lack, I mean, we have Muppets Now, Muppets Most Wanted, Treasure Island, Muppet Babies Playdate.
I don't have that much.
Great Muppet Caper, Muppet Babies, Muppet Baby Show and Tell, the Muppets ABC show, Muppet Moments,
what?
The Muppets, the Muppet Christmas Carol, and the Muppet Movie Original. The one thing I have here is there's so much Muppet content that's missing. Like, for example, we're going to say like the original Muppet Show, or Muppet Babies, or even ABC back had in the late 90s, Muppets Tonight, which was like to try to be a reboot of
Do we get to consider Emmett Otter?
what? You're referencing the show, but I don't remember it.
It's the Christmas movie, Emmett Otter's jug band.
Oh, Emmett Otter. Yes. Emmett Otter's jug band Christmas spectacular something.
Yes, it's a long name. I just refer to it as Emmett Otter.
But like the other thing too that's missing, there's a lot of specials that are missing. Like I remember when I was younger, watching the Muppets Go to the Movies over and over and over again, and quoting it nonstop with my brother. The Muppets at Walt Disney World special is something that's missing, and that was one of the last things that Jim Henson actually worked on before he died. The Muppet Family Christmas, the Muppet Wizard of Oz. There's so many Muppet content that's missing off Disney Plus that for one reason or another, and I'm assuming it's because of licensing issues with something. But the fact that there's so much, again, lack of content with the Muppets, even though there's all these movies, all this new stuff, no one can actually get to see what the original Muppet Show was like because it's not on Disney Plus and it's not really on air anywhere right now. So that's why I've been hoping that there would be a season 2. But if there's not a season 2, I'm okay with that too.
Does anybody have anything else they want to change?
I would say, just on that point, like if they were, like, let's just say hypothetically they don't bring back Muppets now for season 2, but instead they bring on some more Muppet content, like the original Muppet Show, for instance, or maybe any of those other specials. Like, I feel like that would be a fair trade-off for me. Like, I would be okay with that because we have this idea, we tried it, might not have worked the way we wanted to. People are still not really reacting very well to Kermit's voice. Maybe we can do a movie later in like a couple years or so. For now, here's some more Muppet content. What would you guys think about that process instead?
That's fine with me.
I mean, I'm okay with that too. And just to kind of belly off the last point too, like Emily mentioned about it being cheap to make, I found out that it was actually filmed over the course of 6 days.
Oh, you know what? That actually, funny enough, that shows.
Yeah.
That is mine. It's like, I don't know how to explain it. It's just like, I'm still upset about the 2015 series. I don't get, it's like, and now that we've seen Muppets in 2020, I don't know if I want to see Muppets in 2020 again. Like, some things are just not broken. I think one of the things Disney tries to do all the time, like even with like the live action movies, they try and make things current, they try and make things new, and they're missing the old formula. Like Disney clearly has some mass formula somewhere, and it works every time. Like, I'll cry at every movie, I'll cry at every like thing at a certain point, and they know what they're doing, and someone got left alone with this Muppet series and just went absolutely off the rails. They've never seen the Muppets before. I'm really struggling to deal with the concept of somebody had to have signed this off. Someone that's seen the Muppets, knows how the Muppets feels, and they went, you know what, that gives me the same feeling. Because at first I thought it was me, but now I feel like it's not.
You know what?
One thing that I wanted to bring up again, what you said, Emily, that, you know, there were times where it wasn't funny. And there were just times I was just looking at that, I'm like, okay, sure. You know, on like comparing it to the ABC show, there were times in that show where I was dying of laughter because of how funny some of the things were and some of the jokes were. But then here, I mean, there wasn't really a segment that made me, you know, laugh for like 20 minutes consecutively. Nothing really gave me that same feeling. So I say bring back season 2 ABC for show. Let's go.
We'll do a virtual 2015 series. We'll do that next.
Here's another question that I have in terms of missing content that's on Disney Plus, and Andy having his, you know, anonymous connections over there at Disney. What do we have to do to get the Muppet Vision film put on Disney Plus?
I mean, it's on YouTube. Someone actually recently he made a really cool video. I was recently doing some research. I don't know what was the context. But I was doing some research on Muppet Vision 3D, and I found someone had this. I forgot what the term is. I might have to actually look it up. It's like a animatronic, but it's an imaginary view of the show where they have one screen focusing on the show itself. They have one screen focused on Statler and Waldorf, and they have one screen focused on the Penguin Pit and Bean Bunny as well. It's pretty cool. I really liked it. Obviously, if I was to have an actual show of Muppet Vision 3D, I would, for some reason, figure out how to work both the screen. Because the thing is, you can't. it's not like Mickey's Filler Magic where you can just focus everything on the screen, you know, and just have that whole thing. There's just it's such a brilliant show because it's everything in the theater. Like it's Swedish Chef in the back. It's the it's Statler and Waldorf. It's Bean Bunny. It's the Penguin Pit. If you ever just pay attention to the Penguin Pit, they're moving too. Statler and Waldorf are reacting during the entire show. It's super fascinating, and so you can't just have the screen. You have to like have the whole theater. So that would be like the hardest thing to get on Disney Plus.
It's interesting to hear you list all of the things you have on Disney Plus as well. Like this is one of the things that really gets me is American Disney Plus is so different to UK Disney Plus. The only things I have on mine, I have Muppets Now, I have the original Muppets, I have the Great Muppet Caper, Muppets Most Wanted, and that's it. That is the only content I have on my Disney Plus. Ours is so different. Like I still don't even have Onward.
Ooh.
And I don't think we're going to get the Muppets because I think our like stuff, our stuff is like so
hard. You don't have Muppets Treasure Island.
No, we don't have that on Disney Plus. I've got it on DVD, but we don't have it on Disney Plus. It's
That's
like
interesting.
Aaron said, Emily, get a VPN. No, I've held on so long without one. I'm not giving in. I'm holding on. But I think, yeah, I don't know. I've got some more like quick fire questions if we go around each person. Oh, I have 4 questions, so each person's going to get their own individual question. Okay. Just because I feel like there's so many more things, like fun things to talk about when we go like off the like question list. So, Ryan, what was your favorite Muppet in the show and why? Fun questions. Really fun questions there.
Probably Swedish Chef. He was the one who, in my opinion, stayed truest to his character. And I've always just been a giant Swedish Chef fan, so it's really fun to see him like interacting and.
Did he always have hands? Me and my mum have been going about
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. See, I didn't think he did.
I think my
he didn't.
favorite segment with him was with Danny Trejo. The peppers just that was probably the point when I laughed the hardest throughout the entire Muppet series.
Okay, Kevin, if you could personally take the time to redesign one of the segments, what segment would you redesign? Would you put a new Muppet in it, or do you think the Muppet fits that segment well? I'm just making this off the top of my head now. So.
I get like the complicated one. It's like a 3-step answer here. It's like a 5-paragraph answer.
Thinking about
Jeez.
2,000-word essay.
Okay, that's easy. If I could redesign any of the sketches, honestly, the sketch that bothered me the most is, even though I was annoyed by Miss Piggy, the sketch that bothered me the most was the Muppet Labs field test. The first one with the personal assistant speaker, hilarious. But I did not like how every other one kind of led up that. Granted, it is how it is that Dr. Bunsen Honeydew is the smart one. Beaker, not really the smartest and gets involved in all this chaos. But the way that like Bunsen spoke down to Beaker, I was not really a fan of that. And especially in a time where like we're trying to be a little bit nicer to each other and trying to be kind to each other. Granted, I know it's like it's the characters. I get it. It's just like I don't know. And granted, it was filmed a year ago, so a lot of things change in a year. But it's just I was not a fan of the Muppet Labs field test. I do love Beaker and Dr. Bunsen, but at the same time, their sketches did nothing for me, especially with the pizza slingshot. To this day, I want my 5 minutes back.
Yeah, I don't get what that is about. It's just like it's things like this. They just really like miss the mark. It's like it's either too far one way or too far the other way. Okay, Rod, let me brainstorm a question.
Okay, like Sierra just said here, the emotional baggage one was really dark. Yes, with the teddy bear. I was like, this is awful. What are we watching? I feel bad for this puppet. This inanimate object is sad about this inanimate object.
Yeah.
No, I agree. Okay, Rod, if you could, okay, this is actually testing it because I had questions, but they're like really bad. So you're not as good at Andy as this whole presenting thing. Okay, Rod, if you could personally never ever see a segment of Muppets Now again, which one would you erase from them?
Miss Piggy's.
Wow. Okay, and why? We need some.
It was, in my opinion, I mean, there were some parts that were pretty funny, but most of the time I was just sitting there watching and just, okay, sure. And then there were times where it kind of also got obnoxious a little bit.
Okay.
I love Dudley as well with the ABC show. I mean, Dudley also climbed my rankings of characters
Him
because
and
he's just
the Mean Girls
he's
bit was
super.
like my favorite part. I love that.
He's like mysterious and dark and just creepy. It's just awesome.
Mhm.
And he's the one that saves the lifestyle segment. But if I never watch it again, I mean, my life will be fine.
Okay, Andy, you get the biggest question. You have been given free range with the Muppets. You get to design any segment with any character. What would you do? You are allowed thinking time for this question.
So basically, how would I redesign the show?
No, it's not the show. The show has to still be crap, but you have been given this chance to fix it. And you get one segment that's 5 minutes long. That's it. Not even the show, just a segment.
Okay. For Up Close and Personal, I would have Walter interviewing a lot of these guests that would come on. But I would also have a point to that segment. But I think Walter is such a great character because he's new. He's something different. We don't know a heck of a lot about Walter other than he's a huge fan of the Muppets. Yeah. And so what could be funny is like he could be a huge fan of whoever he's trying to interview or something like that. That's one idea. You could have and you could have other Muppets like what they did with every single segment of that where they interrupt him or something like that. Or like they could have a segment where like you bring like Kermit in there and like he's working with Walter on how to get through like asking these questions or something like that to these stars or whatever. But I think Walter is a Muppet that is very undervalued. I think you can use Walter a lot more. Walter is definitely one of my favorite Muppets as of recently. And I think that he's something that can be used more. And I'm glad that they would bring him in for that one segment that he had. But I feel like that segment's good. I just think if you're trying to fix Mupp Close and Personal, I would have a character who's very likable and he's not very egotistical and trying to interview these people. And because that would be cool about that. So
that was a good one. Okay, do we have any more final thoughts and feelings about Muppets now before I rip my eyelashes out?
No, I kind of want to see that. Let's do that.
I feel like the consensus from all of us was Miss Piggy possibly slightly maybe ruined the show. It was missing funny moments. I feel like celebrity guesses we could have lived without, and we maybe want to see a season 2 to see how it goes, but maybe not more than a season 2. Is that pretty good summed up?
I mean,
I want to see a season 2. I think they could improve it. I think they improved throughout. I think they really caught their stride by episode 4 and 5. So
I personally think we're gonna see a season 2. I think we're gonna get it.
We're gonna have to do another one of these live streams.
Yes.
yeah,
Wow. Okay. I didn't realize it was such a burden on me.
Yeah.
yeah, God.
I'm so busy and I have so many friends.
Good comeback. Nice save.
Thank you so much.
Truthfully, I believe like that there is room for a Muppets show on Disney Plus. I personally am not a fan of this concept of it. I would almost like to see if they could try doing the Muppet Show again, like the actual Muppet Show, like the OG Muppet Show again, where they have one celebrity guest throughout their entire episode. Mm-hmm. I think that would be a little bit better too, make it more constant and stuff like that. Just kind of bring that segment. I mean, that would be funny to me. And that way you could actually take more time with it. There's a little bit more jokes you can do with it. You can even throw a couple musical numbers in there, just like the OG Muppet Show. I'd be curious to see if that would have better traction nowadays than trying to do this new segment kind of thing, or at least bring back the Muppets ABC series. At least try to do something different or something familiar.
I think the one thing for me is like you're saying, Andy, bring back the original Muppet Show. I would love to see something like that. Not the problem, but like when that show came out originally, it was a play on all the shows that were going on in terms that were different kinds of variety shows, like Sonny and Cher Hour, And I'm sure there's others, but of course I can't think of them right now. So they're trying right now to kind of make things that are popular now. So a lot of streaming series, Hulu, Netflix, Disney Plus, YouTube. So I mean, it would be kind of funny to see them even do things a little bit more in a YouTube style, like just traditional vlogging style too. I think would be hilarious if they're going to keep, trying to poke fun at the way that media is presented to everyone now. But I think the problem too is something, again, like I've touched upon before, something that made the original Muppet Show, even Muppet Babies great for me, was how much fun they poked at other, topical humor at that point. So whether it be another movie or another TV show, but the problem they're probably going to run into now is that the licensing back then to poke fun at the show was probably a lot easier to obtain rather than it is now. Nowadays, a lot of media companies are going to say, oh, you want to use our likeness? All right, you have to pay us this much. And so even though it's a parody, technically they still kind of have to obtain likeness rights too. So I'm sure if they really wanted to, they could figure it out. But at the same time, if they really want to make people love the Muppets, the newer generation, they got to find a way to get some of that older content on there somehow, some way. I think for me, that's the next biggest step, is to get some of the older content rather than producing new content.
I agree.
Okay, we have a question from Sierra. Can everybody read it?
I mean, I don't know how to read, but I can see it on the screen. Yeah.
So she said, I think this is for a live stream, but if you could put, I really like that profile picture. If you could put Muppet figures in the parks, not necessarily Muppets, but could be, where would you put them and in what park? Oh, actually, I'll keep it on. Who wants to go first?
I want a big mean Carl trash can.
I'm not expecting that. Where?
I think the Disney Junior show would probably be a good place to put it first. Wait, they already do that. Hold on. But to be fair, like we talked about in the previous live stream, I think a puppet figure, like a Muppet meet and greet in the Muppets courtyard area somehow, some way would be a great way to go about it, rather than that haunting me in my dreams giant Kermit and giant Miss Piggy that they used to have back in the day.
I feel like that would be like the ultimate meet, like bring that back for like a Disney, like like the DVC thing. Bring it back for that. I would become DVC just for that.
I mean, that would be cool because like they bring out a lot of rare characters for the Moonlight Magics when they have them. Like for example, one of the Epcot ones I went to, they had the characters from Tron. Yeah. So like if they can bring out these rare characters for Tron for like the Moonlight Magic, try to figure out a rare character opportunity with the Muppets. Would be great.
I feel like maybe something in Animal Kingdom, like I know at Christmas time they have like the little animals and like the sticky bees. I thought they were really cute, but I definitely think some form of like educational Muppet puppet would be like interesting, or maybe even like something on Living of the Land to make it more interesting would kind of be good as well. I feel a bit of an educational element would be nice.
Living with the Land is perfect already, though. So I mean, you don't need to touch it.
Again. I actually have an argument for Living with the Land now. I spoke with Ryan about this the other day, and I've cemented my reasoning behind it. So hear me out. The behind the scenes tour, but it's free and part of the ride. That's something I can get behind because it's more interactive and you feel like you're more involved in the ride.
Except the lines would take forever because the tour is very extensive. It would
would anyone even want to go on the ride? Anyway. Has it never
over an hour? Yes.
I've always walked onto that ride. I've been in spring break. I've been those times.
I've seen it at well over an hour.
Really? People queue for it?
Yes.
That's honestly,
go during Christmas. Go during Christmas. You'll see the line just wrapping around all over the place.
Yeah, the line was in the restaurant.
Like you have to get
have nothing else to do. Wow. Okay. Interesting.
I mean, there's 4 rides in Epcot, so.
And yet they still keep Living with the Land as one of them. Oh my gosh.
It's the most iconic one.
It's like 6.
That's fun.
That's the thing I can. Oh, okay. That's the thing I do want to talk about actually, Figment. I have seen that they are redesigning Figment. 1, why? And 2, is Disney aware that it's the ride that's the problem, not the character?
I think
so.
Go
ahead, Andy. No, go.
I think they're going to be redesigning that ride altogether. and I think they're going to be coming out with a different kind of version of Journey into Imagination. It would be cool to see some more references to Dreamfinder, maybe. Maybe some more references to bringing that character back, because clearly it's still a popular character. Clearly Figment's still very, very popular. So
think about the amount of money that they sell on Figment merchandise in Epcot as a joke.
I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to design a character that they might be able to bring like a walk-around character into the park. I think they're trying to think about how they could modernize Figment in the sense of what they could do to bring him more into the parks itself. But at the same time, I am also curious as to why they're redesigning Figment, especially since the Figment we know is so very popular. I mean, they redesigned Mickey in subtle ways, but nothing like what we're seeing with what Figment is becoming. And so I think I'm very curious to see what they do with it. I think, though, it's partly because they're probably going to take out that ride and they're probably going to do something like overhaul it.
So what I'm thinking on this one is there's so many times that Disney Imagineering or animation will try to come up with a new project or try to reimagine a project. And a lot of times those projects don't end up seeing the light of day. So I think, just to I think it was more so about the showcase of what the Imagineers do during the short. That was supposed to, granted that was supposed to be like the main topic and the main focal point. But I think it's them trying to figure out, what can we do with Figment to kind of make him a little bit more, relevant and prevalent. Wow, that was a weird word. But it's just to kind of be like, what can we do to maybe make him, more likable to a lot of different people rather than him just being, a theme park icon. But to go on that, I do think they're going to end up redoing Journey into Imagination. I think it will end up being rethemed to Inside Out somehow, some way. And I think in terms of Figment with that, I think while he won't be a, main character in it, I think he will definitely play a part. He was in the movie. Let us not forget he was in Inside Out.
Was?
Yeah. So there's one little scene that I forget what exactly it is. It's been so long since I've seen the movie, but Bing Bong is standing there, and to the right is a picture frame with Figment in it.
Oh, so they've been planning this all along.
So it's an Easter egg.
That'll be there. Like, well, he was in the film, so it's still Figment. That'll be there.
Yeah. So I see it more so that he'll be focused throughout the ride rather than being the main character, kind of like how Mr. Toad is still in the Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh.
I love that movie. I watched that the other day. That's hilarious. Why did they get rid of it? And finally understanding where the Headless Horseman was from. Wow, it meant so much to me because I had no idea who he was. But thinking about Epcot, because I just love talking about it.
You love trashing it, okay? Let's be real.
Trash car. Do you think that Figment is something that needs to be focused on right now? Because for me, I feel like if you had to give Epcot a top 3 priorities list right now, number 1 is movability around the park. Number 2 would be actually being able to get somewhere. Number 2 is putting something back. I don't know what they planned with the middle area of Epcot, but putting something back in the innovations area. So I don't know if you guys remember when there was a piggy bank thing, but that experience changed my life. You had this piggy bank, you put coins in it. Was my favorite part going to Epcot. And then number 3, I do think Epcot need to make this decision with regards to putting IPs everywhere or not putting IPs everywhere. And if they are, I think they need to do an IP in every other pavilion. But I feel like Figment is something where it can just exist and it doesn't bother me in its current state. But I know you guys are gonna come to me now.
Right.
So Rod's
I'm gonna okay, so one, I don't think that Disney needs to make a decision in terms of IPs in Epcot. I think they've already made that decision and they're going with it.
I was trying to politely not
they're already going with it. I mean, it's beyond obvious that they're gonna do it and they're just gonna continue going at it. I feel like in terms of Figment and Journey into Imagination, the easiest thing that Disney could do, it's an easy fix. Retheme the ride and make it more like the original one, because the original one was a fan favorite. A lot of people loved it. Then they changed it, and now everyone's like, okay, just bring it back. Bring back Dreamfinder.
It reminds me of the Tiki Room. Mm-hmm. They tried it, it didn't work, so they just went back to what they knew.
Yeah, just kind of make it more like the original. And in terms of meet and greets, when the original was there, you had Dreamfinder walking around with Figment, and that looked like a really cool meet and greet. So I feel like they could be doing that because Figment he's the icon of Epcot right now, and I don't think anything can change that. So I feel like
somebody mentioned earlier about like the redesign of Figment to be a character meet, but then if you think about like proportion on rides to proportion in character meets, you have the 7 dwarfs, which are like, and then you meet them and they're like, so I feel like if they wanted to do a Figment meet, they could. I think they chose again not to. I don't know how much Disney read about what people say and what people think, but I definitely do think Figment is a very touchy, like, people really don't like him, but they don't want him to be changed. So I feel like Disney are treading on like.
It's not that people don't like him. It's more so that he has no exposure outside the park. And as much as we hate intellectual properties coming in and taking over the nostalgia feel of our theme parks, at the same time as we get older, sorry Emily, you two are getting older. We got to understand that there's new generations that are coming to the parks, and they know their Disney characters that they're growing up with, just like we know the Disney that we grew up with. Mm-hmm. And we have to realize that as much as, you know, we're the people paying the money, even if we have kids, we're the people paying the money, but we're still taking the kids. You know, Disney has to focus on what's going to make them money. And if it has to do with, you know, making sure that the younger generation and people can, you know, relate to whatever they're seeing in the theme park, that's the most important thing to them. And with Figment, they could have a meet and greet with them. But if there's no exposure outside the theme parks with Figment, of course, they had a Marvel comic with him for a brief second, but he has no exposure. Nobody outside knowing who is obsessed with Disney World like we are knows what a figment of imagination and a little purple dragon is, as sad as it is.
I think something interesting that Sierra just said was she said more about like Epcot and IPs and education. I don't know who I was speaking to the other day, but I think something that it could do with Epcot, which I think is a good middle ground that you mentioned, because I like to consider myself being the new kids that are coming in. I think I have a very similar mindset of what I like to a 5-year-old. Like, I'll just go out and say it. So I definitely think that if what they did is they had keeping like your educational aspect of Epcot, but having a ride, having a character. Like, I don't think every like pavilion, for example, in the World Showcase needs an IP, but I do think things like China. How many of us say that we go to Disney and we watch Reflections of China every day and we can't wait to see it? No one. Whereas
I go take pictures of it. I take pictures of it.
Yeah, the building. I think the China pavilion is absolutely gorgeous. But I think if you
don't change that building though.
No, don't touch the building.
Because that building is acoustically perfect.
Yes,
yes, it is.
If you put like Mulan in or something, or Mushu's got some ride or something like that, you would easily see like I think what I'm trying to say is you can have both. It's just about like you can easily please both crowds. It's just doing it correctly. Like saying I'm really anti is I love IPs, I'm all for them, but putting Ratatouille in France was not necessary. They didn't have the space or anything.
Here's my argument for this, actually, in this category. I think people are saying we can have IPs or we cannot have IPs. I think the question is how can we blend it? And I think that's what Disney is trying to do with Epcot. Whenever I saw pictures in the Epcot Preview Center, in that area when they're showing, like, for instance, there was Kevin walking around. Not you, Kevin, the bird Kevin.
In Epcot.
I was walking around too, so you know.
Yeah, but like they show Kevin walking around, meeting and greeting with guests randomly, and it's a blending of IPs, almost like Animal Kingdom in the sense. Like I feel like Epcot's kind of slowly going to become more closer to Animal Kingdom. I think Animal Kingdom is a great example of how to use IPs in your park without throwing it in your face. IPs in your park. Like they established there's a world. Like Hollywood Studios is the worst offender when it comes to IPs in the park. Everything's an IP in Hollywood Studios. But there's not really much of a blending. There's not much of a story. But with Animal Kingdom, there's more of a story. There's more of a reason. Oh, it makes sense. We're in Africa. Look, there's the festival of the Lion King. They're celebrating the Lion King. That's that makes sense. As you're coming around to it, like that's kind of what Epcot I think is going to be. It's more of going to be a blending of IPs. It's not going to be just IP like Hollywood Studios. I think it's going to come closer towards that.
You see, like to build off on that point, another thing in Animal Kingdom, kind of like that blends the educational aspect with IP, Up a Great Bird Adventure.
Oh wait, that's not my favorite.
You were learning about the birds and all of that while you also had IPs in the show. So I feel like that's what Epcot's going to move to. I talked about it in one of my videos. I said that Epcot's moving to a point where they're going to have IPs everywhere. But what they're going to do is they're going to use those IPs and keep that educational aspect of it and just blend it together. So you learn about the culture of the country you're in through the IPs.
Because I think it's
And
just
so that's what's gonna happen.
it's more interesting thinking like, oh, for example, we go to Morocco, like, oh, this is what Jasmine like grew up with. This was Jasmine's life. Whereas other than saying people from Morocco, because for some people they don't get to see the world, so it's such like a foreign concept to people. And I do think the merger is good. I know Kevin has something you want to say, but I want to come back to the Ratatouille point because we'll have very different views about that, I think.
Oh, my turn.
Yeah, it's your go.
My thing here is something that we talked about in the group chat the other day. The fact that the last attraction to be based on an original story was Expedition Everest back in 2006. And even thinking before that, I was thinking, okay, what else? I was like, Mission Space was one of the last ones back in 2002, I believe. That's when that opened.
It's the same age as me.
But here's the other thing I'm thinking about is think about a lot of Disney attractions that have been turned into films. For example, we'll use Pirates of the Caribbean because that's the biggest example and probably the best example. Of course, it was based on the attraction. Then they went in and changed the attraction to include the Johnny Depp Jack Sparrow animatronic. But at the same time, it's not like we hate that ride now for including the IP. You know, it's just something that over time we kind of got accustomed to. My thing is with Disney being so good at storytelling and wanting to make an attraction based on storytelling, which who knows what kind of IP would have been brought into that, that why not just make more original attractions and then make movies or TV shows based around those attractions? Because let me tell you this, if they were able to make some kind of action film, like if Touchstone Pictures were still around, which was Disney's PG-13, media company, if they could come out and make a movie based on Mission Space and the ISTC and everything around that, I know that would give a lot more exposure to Mission Space, and more people would be willing to ride it. And they may have to take away the orange side and make it just full green. But to actually have these original ideas and then do something based off of these ideas, based upon how popular they are at the theme park. Like also, imagine if there was a TV show that came out about Expedition Everest. Talking about the Yetis, and then once in the movie they find the Yeti, and the Yeti also doesn't move. Something like that would be wonderful.
You could have an episode, Yeti learning to dance. I get what you're saying, and I like that idea. I think my biggest thing from a business standpoint, like for example, I hate to talk about, but Frozen, you have people there that want it. They want, like for example, Tangled. People want to see it in the park. So I think doing, like for example, another Pirates of the Caribbean, like I love that idea, and I think I'm just like playing devil's advocate from like my friends' families who aren't as like in the know as we are. It is a big risk to take that something is going to pay off, if that makes sense. Whereas if they do something that they know, like people love Tangled, put in a Tangled ride or something, they know they're going to get the money from that. Like, for example, if you said to me, oh, you can either go and ride, like, for example, Expedition Everest is coming to the park because it's brand new, it's never been there, and Frozen Ever After is coming. I would take a trip for Frozen Ever After. I wouldn't take a trip for Expedition Everest because it's not something I get. But I do agree with you. Like, I do think that is the correct way to go about things. But Disney, as much as we love them, are a business, and they're going to keep doing what brings the money in, which is why IPs are in Epcot. I think, say, for example, Frozen wasn't as popular as it was. I don't think we would have seen this giant, big IP takeover as we do now. I think Frozen, unfortunately, is the, stepping stone for, the future of Epcot.
So. You just keep on giving me reasons to hate Frozen, man.
That's hard.
I have kind of a piggyback on Rod's point where he was saying that they're going to bring IPs and education. I really like, at least from the concepts that I've seen of Spaceship Earth, where they're not necessarily bringing IPs in, but they're bringing portions of the movie in from what the, from no, like, so one of the scenes that they show is wayfinding, which is a huge part of Moana, but it's not Moana wayfinding.
Okay, yeah.
So they're showing the realism in the movies, and they're bringing aspects that people can latch onto from the movies and the IPs without oversaturating with IPs.
That's I made a really good comment that I completely forgot about, and we've all seemed to have forgotten about. That is very true. However, this is my opinion. I know obviously it is based on the ride. I don't think they made it because of the ride. I think they made it because The Rock's quite a big jungle explorer right now because of what's it called?
Jumanji.
Yeah. because of that. So I think they almost like, for example, you could put The Rock. I say The Rock, Josh Gad, and Zac Efron right now. I would say are 3 very big. You can chuck them in any movie, and the movie's going to do well, kind of thing. So I feel like that's why they've used it, but that is a very good example of things that would work. Like, I wouldn't say no to a TV movie, but obviously I'd say that anyway. But
well, I mean, they did say that once the movie did eventually come out, that they would be redoing the attraction to include like animatronics of The Rock or Emily Blunt, or kind of have it be a little bit more positioned around the movie. So while you, like you said, think of it more like, as much as it pains me to say this, like the Haunted Mansion movie that came out with Eddie Murphy. So while it had its, it was based on the attraction and it had its tie-ins back to the attraction, it was kind of like a different story in its own. And I think that's what the Jungle Cruise is going to be, and which is why they're going to eventually do a change on the attraction if the movie does well. But everything is planned out that they want to do the attraction if the movie succeeds already.
Okay, so
that's what Jim Hill said.
On the topic of this, so obviously I've been on Ratatouille. I'm assuming none of you have? No?
I've never been on it, no.
Right, so I've been on it, and I don't want to like crap on something that's going to a park, but Ratatouille this is something that just bugs me about the Disney parks. They like to copy and paste, and I get why they copy and paste, because not everyone's going to be able to go to all 16 parks. For example, Tron coming to America. However, Disneyland Paris has no original rides. When I say no original rides, they have one. They have Crush's Coaster. Every other ride in Disneyland Paris you can find somewhere else in the world, and that's in its 2 parks, which I think is absolutely shocking, because Ratatouille was one of the last things that Paris had that was unique, was made for Paris, and was something that really like had it going for it. And I think it's a shame that it's now come to France, because I've seen where it's placed, and I honestly think having Ratatouille does not make me want to go to Epcot more. I don't know if it's just because I've been on it, but I feel like the France Pavilion is one of my favorites anyway, because the food is so good. Like, they've just added in like more people to come in through the secret entrance, through like the World Showcase. And there's something else that stresses me out about Ratatouille. How many people are going to now start doing the World Showcase in France and completely skip the rest because they don't realize they're there, because they come that way? Like, it always really stresses me out that people come in from Canada. That should not be allowed. You go through Mexico. But I just feel like Ratatouille is something that like they've put all these new like rides for the 50th, and there's some of them I look at and I think, why? Like, I get Tron fits, but now you've outdated the rest of your Tomorrowland, in my opinion. I get Guardians, but then I'm like, well, why have you now put a Guardians ride in? Are you now going to say goodbye to all these other original things? Like, for example, Test Track. I see Test Track getting rethemed very soon. Not to Cars. I don't know what will be rethemed, but I do see it getting rethemed. And it's just like, there is good use of IP, and then there's bad. And I love Frozen. I said that like 12,000 times a day, but I still stand by with that. I don't think it should have come to Epcot. So that's just my little.
So my argument is, you're right. Disney does like to send a lot of things and make things unique. However, there are certain things that you can experience at Disneyland Paris that you can experience at Disneyland Paris that you can't experience at anywhere else. There's plenty of things actually. Phantom Manor.
But Phantom Manor, again, is just, I'm not going to lie, I've been on it. It really is not that different to Haunted Mansion.
The Alice in Wonderland Labyrinth.
You can do elsewhere. You can do in Tokyo and a better version. Okay. Maybe it's Hong Kong. But I went through them because friends were like, there's loads. I was like, no, there's not. But if you think about it, if all they've got going for them is a spin-off of Haunted Mansion and a maze, it's things like that that make visiting, like the European parks, so like uninteresting to me, because people always say to me all the time, I don't think there's any of the British people watching, like, why don't you want to go to Paris? It's right there. And it's like, well, everything you can do in Paris, you can do in Walt Disney World. I think it's just a shame about Ratatouille. I'm excited for other things to come to Walt Disney World. I just wish Disney would stop, 1, copying and pasting their movies, and 2, copying and pasting their rides. I feel like the Imagineers have taken like a pause, because it's just. Yeah.
I mean, I will say, well, one thing, the reason why they're doing that though here for Disney World is, number one, Disney World is just so huge. Also, Orlando, I think, is the #1 tourist like capital in the world, as far as I'm understanding that correctly.
New York.
I don't know.
I think it's Disney World. I reckon it'd be Orlando.
I honestly, I'll tell you. Just because I've been, that's my own personal thing. I think that really is the case, and that's why I think Disney has to make sure that they're making sure their theme parks are staying relevant. They're staying interesting. And if the cheapest way to do that is to copy paste rides from other parks and put them there, Totally, that's probably what they're going to do. I would say that they're probably going to take. There's big rumors that they're going to take what they're building over in Tokyo, the Beauty and the Beast section. They're going to try to make that over at Disneyland, possibly. It's just kind of what they're trying to do to make sure that the places where their most popular theme parks are at, they have some of the most popular attractions at them. I think that's what they're trying to do.
I get that. I just feel like I don't know who I was talking to again, just those people, but I feel like not Disney parks are losing their magic, but I feel like, for example, things like one of the, like, I don't know how many of us went to Disneyland, but Disneyland to me has such like a special place in my heart because it is so original. And I feel like Walt Disney World, like, I love it, but they just chuck everything in, which is great for like wanting to go on rides if you're going to go somewhere like value for money. But it's just a shame that each park is like losing its like thing. Like, to me, Walt Disney World's thing has always been that there's 4 parks. Disneyland's is that you get to like walk around with characters. Paris used to be the fact that you could go on Ratatouille in French, and I'd sit there and go, "What on earth are you saying?" But I loved it because like it made it more fun. Because I believe that they're doing. I think Ratatouille is going to be in English in the France Pavilion. Am I correct? I don't know if they've mentioned it, but it's just things like that. It's just. It bums me out because there's so many IPs out there that don't get used, and yet Disney continue to copy and paste and make things like lose their originality. Like, for example, the Beauty and the Beast ride, I think that area looks absolutely stunning in Tokyo. And I also don't think something like that would fit in America personally. I think the style of the building anyway, it screams the Asian theme parks. It doesn't scream America to me, but that's just me personally. But when you've got all these movies like Tangled, why keep copying and pasting something? Like, I don't know.
I mean, at the same time, too, like you just said, I mean, the fact that they include Gaston's Tavern and that little Bell's Village area in the new Fantasyland expansion, why do we have to have Storybook Circus? What does it do?
I don't. I think, like, so I think you said it the other day, didn't you? Like, on my, like, story thing. Somebody did. Oh, yeah, did you know Rod said if he had to get rid of a land in Magic Kingdom, he'd get rid of Fantasyland?
I agree.
What?
I'm not alone.
I don't agree. I'd get rid of Storybook Circus though, but that's a part of Fantasyland.
That's a full land.
Yeah, but that's not a land. Like, you see, Storybook Circus is part of Fantasyland, so.
I definitely think that. I don't know.
What would you get rid of, Emily?
I see all these new. Huh?
Yeah, what
Which one would you get rid of?
Liberty Square easily.
No.
I could take a Haunted Mansion and Lost, and I'd be okay.
But Emily, they're replacing the
no.
Hall of Presidents with a Hamilton attraction. You
They're
still
not
want to get
doing
rid of
that. Until they do that, I don't care. Have you seen the Muppets sing Hamilton? No, it's like 3 hours long. It's great. It's really good. I watched it today.
Emily, I'm taking a look at the chat real quick, and your mother posted a wonderful question here. Your father wants to know, should Tron be the same?
I personally think Tron should have never came to Florida, and I've said that to my dad because, hear me out. The thing that Disney like to do, they're doing it in Walt Disney Studios as well, is there's a giant moth thing by my own. I forgot what I was going to say because the moth distracted me. Oh.
Tron. Talking about Tron, they're coming to Florida.
What Disney do is rather than fix old problems, they just put new things in. And they think, well, if you've got this new ride, you're not going to notice the problems. For example, Walt Disney Studios in Paris is really bad. I'm just going to go out and say it. It's got 2 good lands, and then the rest is really bad. It's not themed. Like, it's a mix and match. Like, you have Stitch next to Tower of Terror, and things just aren't themed like you normally get. So rather than fix that, they've said, we're going to give you a Galaxy's Edge. We're going to give you a version of an Arendelle. We're going to give you blah, blah, blah. And hopefully you'll realize the rest isn't actually that great. And I think what they should have done in Tomorrowland, if you were going to add Tron, you should have done what Disneyland did and, like, redo your Tomorrowland. Because if you think you've got technology such as Tron, you've got the giant glass, like, dome, and then I hate to say it, but you've got things like Monsters Inc. Laugh Floor, and they're all supposed to be, like, in the same thing. And it doesn't make sense to me. I feel like Space could do with a bit of an update. Like Tomorrowland Speedway is one of my favorite rides, but I also feel like that, like Teslas.
How am I supposed to take your opinion seriously?
How are you gonna tell me? What is this? If there was an attraction in Tomorrowland you had to get rid of, is tomorrow. It's that one. I mean, like, come on.
I like Tomorrowland Speedway.
It's an iconic ride, but like, come on. It's not that
I just
good.
feel like I've said to Dad, like, obviously I'm excited. Oh, also fun fact, my 21st birthday, my dad's 50th coincides, what the word is. So I think I'll be in Disney World 2022 for my birthday, but my mum and dad are watching this, so I don't know. That's just a guess. But I just feel like parks, do you not think, I don't know how many of you have been to like 2+ parks. I just feel like parks are losing their like individuality and everything's just becoming like a mix. Like for example, I think we're going to keep seeing it happening. Everything they do in Disney World, they seem to then do in Disneyland. Like you have Galaxy's Edge, and then you've got like Runaway Railway. Like how many more of these are we going to keep on seeing? I haven't been on Railway, so I can't really comment. I think it fits better in Disneyland in Toontown than it does in Hollywood Studios.
100%.
I haven't ridden it, so I can't comment.
I mean, I think it does, but at the same time, the fact that it's all about the premiere of the short.
I haven't been on it.
Okay. I will say one thing though. I disagree with point. I think the one thing with Disneyland that they're doing very well is they're actually keeping it very unique in the sense that there's so many original rides and areas that they're not touching. They haven't touched a lot of their Fantasyland in years. Like they'll redo a show like at their show area maybe, but like when it comes to like Fantasyland, like they keep it pretty original. Like they still have their Casey Jr. They still have the story. The Storyland boats, whatever they are.
Storybookland boats, yeah.
Such a cool attraction. I love that, and I don't think they're ever going to touch that. Knock on wood. Just because like Disneyland is such a great park, and so what they're trying to do with Disneyland is they're trying to bring some more of the excitement into areas that need it.
I'm all for it going to Disneyland. Yeah. My issue is them coming to Disney World.
So Emily, let me ask you this. I mean, if Disney's so keen cut on doing these cookie cutter attractions where they'll just copy and paste them, take a crane, lift them, drop them in another one, right? How come they never did it with the Matterhorn then?
Because they made their own version. They have Expedition Everest, which is there almost. I would say is there. So many concepts are so similar. I feel like things are really. Like, I don't know, just as a kid, I used to feel like we went to Disneyland for the first time, having been to Paris, having been to Florida, and you could tell the difference. Whereas now, I just feel like Paris is just a toned down version of Walt Disney World. And it's just, you have to go to Disneyland Paris. So, like, it's just everything is copied and pasted, and it just stresses me out. Like, I'm all for, like, have a Tangled boat ride in Magic Kingdom and make that be the only Tangled boat ride. Like, have these key attractions. Like, for example, there was a time when you'd be like, I'm going to Disneyland to go and ride Space Mountain because it's the only place I can view Space Mountain. And I miss that. I miss original ideas. I think I'm just in this headspace of I hate copying and pasting, and I'm like going off the live action movies slightly.
I mean, I'm all for like having to go to different parks to experience different attractions. I'm all for that, but at the same time, I was supposed to go to Disneyland Paris this summer. It's not going to happen, but who knows if it's going to happen again. So if I can actually fly somewhere here and go down to Orlando to experience an attraction like Ratatouille, you know, it's going to be a little bit more beneficial for me there. Same.
Come out, I'll be interested to hear what you think of it.
Same thing though. You know, if like I'm going to use Journey to the Center of the Earth as an example too, or even something else in Tokyo Disneyland. You know, this may be a little rough for me, but at the same time, if I'm traveling, for me personally, if I'm traveling to an international destination theme park, the language of the attraction is going to be in their native language, most likely too. For some of them, it flip flops, and you can kind of do it. But there's a couple where the narration is going to be primarily in their language. And for me, even though I can experience the atmosphere of the attraction, if I'm not understanding the narration, it's not going to be a fun time for me.
So you think if Ratatouille was completely in English, that's something you can get behind?
I mean, I took French, so I can understand a little bit.
Because I think, if I remember correctly, they
took French. I learned nothing.
I mean, the guy in the French pavilion at Léal actually complimented me. He goes, "Oh, you from Canada?" I'm like, "I'm from New Jersey." He's like, "What?"
See, that's why people think you're from Canada.
Yeah, French is so.
That's why. It's the only reason.
It's like I don't know. I just like Sierra made a good point. It does help people that can't afford to travel to other Disney parks, and I get that. It's just for me. I just wish like each park had its thing. And I feel like it's they're losing their thing. I don't know. This is quite.
I feel like if you had a balance between the two, it would be perfect. Yeah. Like you could bring more popular rides from other theme parks around the world to Walt Disney World or vice versa, but then also have original ideas going in as well in each individual land.
It's like Guardians is one of the most. It's probably the most recent. Like will be the most recent new ride. The rest are just copy and paste.
I mean. And then Mickey and Minnie was also before then too.
Yes.
See, the thing is, I think Guardians might possibly go to a different park as well. Like we can't rule that out too.
Yeah. I possibly see that maybe eventually making its way to DCA, if I'm not going to lie. I also,
Right.
again, I feel like, why is it coming to Epcot? This is another, I feel like Marvel.
Because Peter Quill went to Epcot. We went through this. Come on.
There's that one picture.
I know, but like, I don't know.
It's canon, man. Or anything.
I feel like
It's canon.
It's battle now. I don't know. I just feel like when you've been to a few, you just feel like they all merge into one, and I miss having the difference. But that's just me.
Well, see, here's what I want to say about this whole thing too. Like I love Disneyland. I grew up going to Disneyland. Disneyland's my favorite park. It still is. And in many ways, many areas, I wish they would just take a crane and move the Indiana Jones Adventure and put it on top of the dinosaur. I wish they would take a crane and move Casey Jr. over here. I wish they would take the story. I keep butchering it. The storybook area.
Storybook land boats. Yeah.
Yeah, it was so cool.
Bring that over too. Like bring everything over to Disney World, so that way I don't have to go to it. So it makes it so much more convenient for me. But that's just it. You know, there's certain things. I wish that we could have the dragon under our castle from Disneyland Paris. I wish we could have Disneyland Paris's castle. That's such a cool castle. I wish we could have the labyrinth. I wish that we could have those things so that it's so much easier to access to. And like Sierra is saying, the reason why I think that it's so cool that they have those things, like very unique things, that you're not going to be able to get the castle over here. That's something you can't copy and paste.
You never know.
And that's something that makes them special.
Yeah.
But so I'm gonna play a little devil's advocate here. I agree with you, Andy, but it gets to a point where if they continue bringing things to Walt Disney World from other theme parks, what's the point of traveling to another theme park then?
This is exactly what I've been saying to people. So when you price it up, a trip to Florida is basically the same to Paris on the same degree. If you do it,
yeah. So I would like to visit. Yeah, I would like to visit all the theme parks eventually, but if they keep on doing that, there would be no point.
I think like value for money is in Florida.
If I can just answer that too, like I think the point would be because they're not going to take the entire park. They might take aspects of the park. They might take like for instance, Disneyland took our version of Space Mountain. We took their version of Splash Mountain, and we just kind of added some more stuff into it. Like it's okay to have certain copy and pasting because it's not the whole park. There's still aspects of that park.
Paris map up.
I mean, the other thing too is like reasons to go to other theme parks. Like us going to Disneyland, it could be some of us might go for the nostalgia aspect of it. I mean, the fact that Disney World is like their number one like destination that even international is going to come to. You know, they don't see a lot of people from America flying over to Tokyo Disneyland. They see more international travelers fly into Orlando and experiencing Disney World. So they want to make sure, that whatever their latest and greatest is going to be there. The problem is sometimes their latest and greatest, they don't really have the room for, like, for example, the Beauty and the Beast attraction or the Frozen Land. But at the same time, like, I'm going to contradict myself now because, like, Disneyland, like, we would go to for the nostalgia, but they have Galaxy's Edge there too. Like, why do they put Galaxy's Edge in America on both coasts for both people to experience if they want people to come? I get it. Yeah. But at the same time, I mean, I'm sure people at Disneyland want a taller castle. I mean, it's only like 77 feet, if I remember correctly, versus ours that's like 180 something. You know, but at the same time, they can't do that because it's going to ruin the sight lines in Anaheim because it's literally on a road. Your main highway is where Disneyland is. So I mean, it's.
I get both sides. I think for me, it's more Paris. I think Disney World is fine. I have no issue with that. It's Paris that I'm starting to really get like fed up with because I have this Disney park literally right on the edge of my country that I can literally get the train to in 90 minutes, and you can do it affordable. It's just for me, I'm so fed up of Paris like losing its magic. Like looking at here now, their rides, Big Thunder Mountain, Phantom Manor, we've got elsewhere. Then you go to Adventureland, you've got Pirates of the Caribbean. Oh, wait, that's it. Then you go to Fantasyland, and you've got It's a Small World, Peter Pan's Flight, you have the Teacups, you have Dumbo, you have a Carousel. Like, it's all the same. Discoveryland, you have Orbitron, which is their version of Astro Orbiters, you have the Cars, you have Space Mountain. And it's like Disneyland Paris has literally just become a smaller version of Walt Disney World is.
So, Emily, let me ask you this, though. If, let's say, you were...
Mum, the moth's gone.
I'll wait. So my question here, like, let's say you were never able to come to Disney World, right? You're stuck over there, right, in your jolly old United Kingdom, England, Britain place.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Would you rather like never be able to experience Disney World and still love Disney as much as you do? So we're still you just never have been here. Or would you rather kind of go to that cookie cutter replacement of Disneyland Paris?
I think the cookie cutter would be good if it was up to the same standard. I can't explain it until you've been, but it's like you put 100% into something and Paris goes, now we'll just put 25 in. Like Paris is gorgeous, I will admit. The Paris theming of their like Magic Kingdom, of their Disneyland park, I will say is better than Disney World. Like everything is very, very detailed and everything is like it's made to be pretty, but the actual like rides itself they're lacking that like they're just lacking. It's really like.
Have you ever been to Disneyland?
Yes.
Like the OG.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think of that?
I loved it, and I think that is what Paris was trying to do, and they just couldn't hit it. They just couldn't do the same. Okay. But I do think that is because of European culture. Is very different to American. Again, when you've been, you're like you just know. You know. When people go, they just know, kind of thing. But yeah, like I'm on your side. Like I agree with you guys. Like I do think things can be copy and pasted. I think things just need more unique like things, like if you know what I mean. Like Paris is in Paris, and they don't even have a Beauty and the Beast thing. They don't have anything to Hunchback of Notre Dame. It's like,
I have many points.
Oh, yes, go! I can't wait. I can't wait. All right, hold on. Wait. All right, ready?
Yeah, sit back and relax because I have many things because I've been stewing. So first of all, the reason why so many things get copy and pasted to Walt Disney World versus other parks is because Disney treats Walt Disney World as its global destination. It's set up the best for that. It's all in one bubble. You don't have to leave the bubble. You don't have to walk through a city. You don't have to walk through a town. You don't have to get on a train. It's all right there. You know, from the second you land at MCO, you are in the Disney bubble. You go on the Magical Express. It takes you to your resort. From start to finish of that vacation, you are in Disney World. It is a global destination. It is set up better than anywhere else in the world for that. You know, they have more languages spoken by cast members there than anywhere else. So that's why things get copy and pasted there, is because even if there is unique aspects in Disneyland Paris or in Tokyo, that's for the people that live there. Then they also are able to go to Disney World and experience. So like for you, your home park would technically be Disneyland Paris, but that doesn't mean that you can't go to Disney World and experience something from Tokyo or from Disneyland or from, you know, Shanghai. Yeah. So there's that. Two, the reason why Disneyland Paris is so bad is because Disney hasn't owned a majority stake for most of Disneyland Paris's time, and it wasn't handled as well as Tokyo Disneyland, which was also a similar situation. But Tokyo Disneyland was handled to a whole other standard than Disneyland Paris. So that's why Disneyland Paris has so much in other parks. The other thing, which you were complaining about, is
I'm not complaining.
You were complaining a little bit how Big Thunder Mountain, and I would love to have the Big Thunder Mountain that's in Disneyland Paris. It's so much better. I would love to have the Space Mountain that's in Disneyland Paris. It's so much better, in my opinion.
I feel like I didn't say what I meant to say very well. I'm not complaining. Like, I'm not going to lie. Phantom Manor is better than Haunted Mansion. Big Thunder Mountain is better than Big Thunder Mountain. Space Mountain is better than Space Mountain. It's just for me. Like, the thing I'm trying to say is, like, for example, Walt Disney World has its things. Paris is in bloody France, and there's no French references. Disneyland Paris is an American park. Everything is Americanized. Like, if you think movies such as like Hunchback of Notre Dame, Aristocats, you've got Beauty and the Beast. There's like, I think Sleeping Beauty is French. There's just, for me, it's just there are so many amazing French movies that they just go, well, actually, we're gonna have Frozen, we're gonna have Galaxy's Edge, we're gonna have like that kind of thing. And I just feel like Disneyland Paris doesn't fit the European market. It fits the American market, but the Americans don't go, which is what that's what the point I'm trying to get. I have no issue with things being in Disneyland and Disney World. I get that. it's bringing things from Paris, like this Ratatouille, to Disney World, which is where my like issue lies, because you could have done something else. Like, if you know what I mean. I don't know. It's just when you've been to Paris and it's like your home park, like you'll understand. It's just like for example, I don't know how to explain it, but it was the only thing Paris had which was unique, and then they took it. They took it away and they made it English and American. They made it American, and it should have been French. Oh, good question, Sierra. To make it appeal more to the European market, I think again, like so one of the biggest things about Disneyland Paris is that the French people, they wanted to see their culture represented. And it has, with regards to things are like written in French, things are said in French. I just feel like it is like it's missing its like European movies. Like that, like so many Disney movies are actually based on like The Princess, for example. Most of them are European, and it's like you are missing the opportunity, like the nail on the head, to be able to do that. For example, put Beauty and the Beast in. Like they had a Beauty and the Beast mill at one point or something, and then they took it away. It's just using. One of the things I want to see is like I think with almost like the Epcot like IPs kind of thing, rather than maybe even putting them in Epcot, put them where they belong. Put them in the countries. Put them in the in the origins of that like kind of thing. Like I want to see Beauty and the Beast in France. Like Michelle said that she was shocked it came to Tokyo. I want to see Hunchback of Notre Dame in Paris. Like I maybe even want to see, because Brits go a lot to Paris. You could put more Peter Pan in. You could put more like Winnie the Pooh, that kind of thing. I feel like I don't know why they just haven't quite like hit the mark. But like I'm all for copying and pasting if it's different. Like for example, Both Thunder Mountain is better in Paris. Like that ride is absolutely insane. Because like it goes underwater, it's really fast, it's really, really good. And it's like if you change it, I'm fine with it. It's the direct copy and paste I'm like not okay with, because we have these amazing Imagineers out there. Like look at Galaxy's Edge, look at Runaway, like look at the things they can do. And I just feel like Disney aren't giving them the chance to like shine, if that makes sense. Like they have the ideas, I can imagine. That's funny. Like I'm sure they have the ideas, they have the money, they're just choosing to copy and paste. Like I'm excited for Guardians because it's new. Like for example, even Mission Breakout, like even though that was a layover, like it was new. So I feel that's what I'm trying to say. I'm not against copying and pasting. I'm against duplicate copy and paste, but I'm all for copying and pasting with a twist. Like the live action movies, I'm here for you remaking it if you do it different. That's fine. Like this has been like an hour of me ranting about this, but like I can't say anymore. I'm done.
Yeah, I think we should change the subject one more time. Like the other thing is just because none of us have been to Disneyland Paris.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that's. I'm assuming that's a fact.
No,
okay. So like none of us can really speak to that aspect of it. So I think honestly we should probably I can't wait to go, and I definitely have so many plans to go. But it's you know. It's something I can't wait to see, and maybe it'll change eventually too. We don't know.
I think now that Walt Disney Company has a majority stake in it, they're investing the time and money into it. You've seen they have all these plans for it. Of course, who knows how much is going to be executed due to this whole COVID wrench that got thrown into everything. Yeah. But they had plans to expand and build and put entirely unique things into Disneyland Paris. And I think that as they improve and as more people go, because it is improving, they're going to continue improving it more.
Yeah.
So I think part of the issue is that they've been underusing it because it's been underappreciated. And they're not going to invest big money into putting something brand new into some place where nobody is really going. Because I don't think that Disneyland Paris has been as popular as it should be for the past decade or so.
I just know a lot of people are still upset that they never copy and pasted Epcot into the West Coast and made it Westcott.
Yeah, I see that a lot. I quite like DCA. I think DCA now is very good.
I haven't been to DCA in 19 years, and my first trip there was the first year that it opened, and the power went out in the entire park while we were at dinner. So,
good example of DCA in the first year.
We got some free bread at Wolfgang Puck's. It was phenomenal.
Oh, we've had a very random question.
Oh,
Should I
okay.
do Halloween? I am 12 years old and male.
Spaceship Earth.
Yeah, be Spaceship Earth.
Yeah.
Be Spaceship Earth.
Or no, be Muppet Vision 3D. Come on, guys. We're talking about Muppets today.
Yeah, be
Be the building.
Be the building of Muppet Vision 3D.
I don't know. It really depends on what you like. I mean, I don't know. Be one of us.
Yes. Especially DisParkPhoto.
Yeah.
Just get a black T-shirt, a black hat, and a camera. You're fine.
That's such a creepy costume.
I don't really have any. I don't even know what I'm going to be for Halloween.
I'm going to be inside for Halloween.
Yeah.
Nice. That's a good one.
Actually, I might be actually working, I think.
That would be fun.
Yeah.
Oh, you said
There's
said
no way to
eight
land.
suggestions.
Go.
We should go as something. Does anyone else have anything else to add, or
In terms of what, like
anything like?
anything Disney related, or like, I think. Well, let's talk this. How do you all think that everything's going in terms of the park pass reservation system and everything right now?
So
Oh, sorry, Ryan. Go for it.
I just had to use it for the first time about a week ago because I'm going back to the parks. I'm very excited. So you'll actually get some content on my Instagram again.
Yes, let's go.
Yeah, I won't just like post once every 6 months or so. It'll be more like once or twice a week. But I thought that the system was fairly good. I think it still runs into issues where I'm on my Disney Experience account, obviously, because I'm an adult. So my mom was having issues pairing my pass with hers and having it show up in the reservation system fine. She was able to book it fine, but then it didn't show up. It showed up on my Disney Experience as just me going, and it showed up on hers as just her and my brother going. So even though we were friends on the app, it wasn't pairing all of our things, even though they were booked at the same time. So that's the biggest issue that I've run into personally. The other thing is I'm seeing on Instagram, people are able to get last minute.
Double. Have you seen that?
I haven't seen the double, but I've seen a lot of people like waking up in the morning and being like, I want to go to a park, and being able to get in. So clearly it's being underutilized.
I have a question. So if people are park hopping, they book too?
So somehow there was a glitch in the system that I saw someone on Instagram posted that they made a reservation, that they were having trouble making a reservation. So they had a guest service cast member actually like do the reservation for them. And then that morning they decided that they wanted to go to Hollywood Studios, and they were able to make a reservation for Hollywood Studios, but their app still showed both. So
were they able to go to both of them, or?
Yeah, did they go to it?
I don't think they've actually gone yet. I don't know, but I'll keep an eye out and let you guys know, because I thought that was a weird glitch in the system, and I kind of want to message them to say, hey, try to go to both, but at the same time, I don't want to get them in trouble.
And also, I don't really want it to work.
Yeah, because when one person does it, then... But I don't know, obviously I haven't made a reservation, but it seems like there's a lot of reservations available and they're not selling out. But is that because they've upped park capacity?
No, so apparently what they're doing is that if the theme park admission and the hotel guest spots don't fill up, they will reopen the rest to annual pass holders, and then they can make it usually day of.
Mm-hmm. And also, it's Disney hasn't been getting the amount of guests that they were assuming. Bob Chapek came out saying that less people have been going than they thought they were going to go, so that does play into that factor.
However, I will say one thing based on what we've been seeing lately is Disney is operating in the black, meaning they are being profitable right now.
Oh, they are. Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Because what they're doing right now is they're being very smart. Unlike Universal, they didn't bring back all of their people yet. They brought them back in waves. And as business increased, they would bring up their cast members and stuff like that, just make sure that they were still, being able to afford to pay all those people that they're trying to bring back. And now they're bringing back even more customers, and they've been allowing more reservations being made, which is making the parks a little bit busier, especially right now, which is kind of crazy because if you look at the parks right now versus when they first opened, it's night and day different. There's so many more people in the parks right now because they're allowing a lot more people in the parks. They're allowing more reservations to be made. More people are wanting to come now. People are kind of, as state restrictions are being lifted and stuff like that. And so I think, the reservation system works. However, I think there has to be a certain point where once you cross a certain threshold, you have to allow for fast passes again. You have to start allowing for those kind of issues again, because if you're going to have a 90-minute wait to ride Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, good that there's still not fast pass, but you kind of want a fast pass for that, right? You don't want to wait minutes, especially when your park hours are limited.
When was last time? I'm sorry. When was the last time you went to Universal?
I went. I want to say sometime last month in August.
So would you say, did you feel then that there was a difference? Because I've noticed like on the wait time app, there's been a definite, like everything was like walk on at Universal, and then everything now seems to be like a 60-minute wait. So I'd be interested, like, have you actually like experienced that when you're there? Because obviously we're just like outside.
Yeah. So Orlando, Mike, and I actually we decided there was a day where there was a Saturday where Shrek was at like 120, 150 or something like that. We decided, let's go like on Monday. Let's just see what it's like on Monday. And the thing is, when we went on Monday, everything was pretty much kind of close to a walk-on again. It was pretty normal again. It was just one of those weekend days where everything was packed. And so, but nowadays, because they have the Halloween horror night houses, so 2 of them opening up, that's going to drive their popularity up. And unlike Disney, they don't have the reservation system. And so I've known some people, and I've been in contact with some people who will literally go to the gates and they'll have to wait outside for like an hour or like 30 minutes to an hour just to get in the park. As people trickle out, they'll like let people in, but still it takes forever. I think honestly the way Disney's doing it is so much better because it's like, all right, you're going to that park that day. There's no going to be waiting outside that park at all. You're getting to go. Don't worry about it. But Universal's being smart in that they're not doing that. So that way, if you get stuck at Disney and you can't go in the park at Disney, you can just try to go to Universal. And that's what happens. You have a lot of people. Like Labor Day weekend, that was a great example of that, where the parks were full to capacity. Like all the Disney parks were on their passes. And then also Universal was full to capacity.
On the topic of that, do you think Disney now needs to up their capacity, or do you think that they're at a good level?
I think if they do that, they need to make sure that they allow for fast pass systems again. I think they need to start bringing those in.
It's interesting that you think fast passes should come back, because there's been the age-old argument for forever that, like, I think it's probably what Kevin's going to say, that, like, people say, oh, well, life was better before fast passes, queues were shorter. But I was looking today and everything was like an hour wait. So this probably might be what you're going to say, like, do we think that fast passes are better or not?
I think the best use of fast passes is what they have at Disneyland, where it's day of fast pass. Like, if you really want to ride a certain ride, if that's your ride that you want to ride that day, you go to that ride before, maybe in the early morning, you get a fast pass for it. It'll give you a return time to come back. You ride the ride. And then you can get another fast pass for another one. I think that system works a lot better instead of Fast Pass Plus. That's me personally. And then there's certain things that you don't need a fast pass for that you could get a fast pass for Disney. It does work in certain aspects. It's nice to be able to plan your trip a little bit better with Fast Pass Plus. But I think for the general public, I think this would be a great time to go back to the original fast pass or change to something completely different. Overhaul the system. I think that's what they were doing with Genie, right? Or that was
something similar to that. Yeah, I mean, the one thing too with that, Andy, is let's not forget that Max Pass is a added-on service to be able to do it from your phone that day. So again, that kind of comes back into that age-old argument. Is Fast Pass going to end up being a charge service? And I think at this point now, if it does come back, it'll probably be back in time for the 50th anniversary next year. But don't be surprised if it is a charged service, just like Max Pass at this point. Emily, to go off what you said, where a lot of the waits were 60, 45 minutes, that's what the posted time is, but a lot of the reports have been saying that it's usually about half of whatever the posted time is. So, like, It's a Small World was listed at 60 earlier today, and Peter Pan was listed at 45, but they said a lot of times they were in and off within 25 minutes. So, it's just lines are appearing long because of that social distancing protocol they have in place. I mean, Rock and Roller Coaster today was actually all the way down Hollywood Boulevard.
Wow.
Jesus.
Like back down towards the Trolley Car Cafe.
Oh
That's how long the line was. But people said that they got in the line at the trolley car and they were off the ride in 30 minutes.
Jeez.
So it's one of those things that the lines are appearing longer. The lines are very, very scary because I don't know about you, but even with social distancing, if I saw Rock and Roller Coaster all the way back to trolley car, I'm not getting in line. No, I'll go do Muppet Vision 3 times in that same amount of time. But it's just one of those things where, like we're talking about capacity. Is the question did Disney raise the capacity? Is Disney raising the capacity, especially on weekends with Food and Wine and everything going on, when everyone's saying everything's looking a lot more busy? Or are we at that point? Because I mean, Florida, from what I saw, they're averaging about 3,000 new COVID cases a day. So are we at that point now where, that original spike when the parks reopened, when it was around 10,000 a day, are people just getting more comfortable now and starting to, become more comfortable of cutting that cabin fever and wanting to go out and experience things? And is Disney still at the same capacity it was when it reopened, but people are just more comfortable with going now?
I would say,
For example, like me trying to plan my trip in November, looking at like Pop Century for the pass holder discount. And of course, a lot of discounts just have a limited number of rooms that they're allowing. And if they're at, 25% capacity, that could be like 3 rooms, who knows? But how quickly Pop Century went for that week I was looking to go with the pass holder discount versus a lot of the other resorts that are still available. So I don't think it's raising capacity. Maybe it's at 30% rather than the 25. I think it's just that fact that people are getting a lot more comfortable and seeing how safe the theme park areas are and actually wanting to get out and go.
Yeah.
I think, something I've been considering is I was like, when all this began and like Disney like reopened, I think it was like one of the Asian parks, they're like, I think it was Mexico. They're like, you have to social distance, you have to wear a face mask. And my mind instantly went, okay, I'll just wait until you don't social distance and you don't wear a face mask. And now time's gone on, I'm like, okay, well, this is going to be the new normal for a while. So I like have to make the decision of, do I wait, like, for example, I don't know, up to 3 years to never go again? Or do I just take the trip? Because I'm looking at doing Disneyland Paris in December. So I do possibly think it is people getting more comfortable. I see a lot more of my people I follow that don't live in Florida are flying down to go, which I think is quite interesting because there was quite a big, I would say almost like a wave of people going at the beginning when they reopened. I think people then kind of like died down a bit, and I do think that I don't know if maybe Disney is maybe running at 25, but they weren't hitting 25 possibly most days. I think maybe now they possibly could be, but I definitely do think it is people becoming more confident in the current situation, being like, well, I either risk it and don't go or go and not go. Because I went to Alton Towers, which is the closest you get to a Disney park in the UK. And I felt safer in that theme park than I did like going to Asda, which is our version of Walmart. So it's interesting.
So I have a couple things to say. I want to kind of go back a little bit. I'm gonna say it, all right? I wanted to go back a little bit on the park reservation system. So there was an interview with Josh DeMero a couple months ago. They were talking about all the different advancements of technology, park reservation system, mobile ordering, cashless payment options. And he said that Disney's actually going to be implementing a lot of those advancements in technology for the long run. One of the things that was mentioned was the park reservation system. So it brought up questions as to whether or not this park reservation system is going to be here for the long run. If it is, there are a lot of questions that Disney will need to answer and address, such as when will park hopping be available? That I think is the biggest one, especially in terms of annual pass holders. Another thing is, will you continue limiting annual pass holders to only 3 park reservations at a time? Right now, so you guys are going to get some information that I haven't really... Huh?
What if you go on like a week-long holiday?
If you have a hotel reservation, you could make reservations for the length of your stay. But this is the problem that I have with my reservation. So you guys are going to get a little bit of information. I'm going in December, right?
What? No way.
Yeah. So the 4 people that are in my reservation right now is me, my mom, my dad, and my brother. My sister is not in our hotel reservation because she lives there. We're right now, we don't know if my sister's going to be able to join us for our vacation, because I was only able to make 3 reservations for her. We're going upwards to 20 days, 21 days.
Well, here's the question I have for you. Can you put her on the resort room? That way she's listed as a resort guest.
The hotel room that we're staying in only allows up to 4 people. We would need to change the reservation and pick a bigger room. And we booked it with DVC points. So if we book a new reservation, we run the risk of only being able to use 50% of our points, because that's the policy that Disney Vacation Club put up.
That's rough.
So we don't know if my sister's going to be able to join us.
Big market of people, because I know so many people that like they go to, like, for example, like when I was there last year and you guys live nearby, like I knew what I was doing every day, but you guys would like just come along. Like that really shuts out people from like meeting up with like friends and quite a big portion of people. I did not know you could only do 3 days.
So
I get why, but that's interesting.
I want them to bring it kind of like how it was with fast passes for annual pass holders, where you're able to do 7 days. I think 7 days is perfectly reasonable. I think that the average Disney trip is between 5 and 7 days. So I don't, like, obviously for Rod and for you, longer trips are the norm. But for the average person, it's probably 5 to 7 days, maybe 9. But, you know, if you can book 7 days with someone on their 9-day trip, that's not too bad.
Yeah.
I mean, you run into the problem too, though, that, you know, clearly Disney, I mean, I think they said it on their financial call. I don't remember, but they say that the pass holders are important, but they say that the most important people that they look at are their resort guests. And I mean, it kind of goes back into that age-old question of, you know, the discussion of annual pass holders have 30% or not 30%, had 30-day fast pass windows when the parks were open versus resort guests that had 60. And they didn't really understand why that is. And it kind of goes into this. Again, annual pass holders get 3 days to make reservations, even though they're the people that are local, or most of them, they're the ones that are local and are going to be going to the park and spending money at the parks. So for me too, it didn't make much sense in the very beginning why annual pass holders didn't have that much access to the parks when they were the ones local and the ones that could be there, you know, that first 2 weeks when the parks reopened.
If you think, like, if I go on a 2-week holiday, I reckon what my family would spend, like, financially in those 2 weeks is probably very similar to what an AP holder would spend in a year, if I'm honest, because of how expensive our trips are. Like, a trip to Disney for a family of 4 is 10 grand. Like, there's no way you can make it cheaper than that. And that's not including food. That's not including merch and things. So I see both sides. But.
So I want to say something. So to address Kevin's point, I'm kind of a little bit more, I have like a cynical view as to what Disney management was thinking about in terms of their annual pass holders reopening. I feel like what they wanted to do was, you know, they put up all of these like restrictions on annual passes to keep them away and to give them like incentive to stay away in order to bring in people that don't have tickets and all of that, and will give them money for the short term. So people coming in, like first timers or people that don't have tickets, that's short term money. Your annual pass holders are long term money, right?
Right.
So what they wanted to do, they know that Disney has a like the Disney annual pass holders are very strong, loyal fan base, and so you could keep them away for a little bit, get fast money from people coming in for the first time, and still keep on to your annual pass holders. I feel like that's what was going on.
I kind of agree to that just because of the flex ticket option that was offered to the Florida residents. Those who like, it was like 2 or 3 days at the park for like $150. Like that's a great deal. Like, and I mean, I really think like they offered those kind of deals. And also with those tickets, you could get a reservation a lot easier than an annual pass holder could. Like the reservation system is completely different for ticket holders than it is for annual pass holders. And so I think that's definitely something that Disney was thinking. I agree with that, Rod.
talking about like annual passes and like on the topic of like dining plans and things, do you think Disney's starting to reach a point where they're realizing they're actually at a loss? Because if you think, I personally, I do not see the actual like old Disney dining plan coming back. I see a quick service one coming back, but deluxe, I personally don't see coming back. So do you think they're realizing?
I see it coming. I see it coming back because the Disney dining plan actually, unless you do your math and your research well beforehand, you were spending a lot more money purchasing the Disney dining plan than you would be spending out of pocket.
So yeah, the dining plan is one that if you don't plan it out correctly, you will spend more money purchasing the dining plan than you would have paying out of pocket.
Do you get it
Yes,
free,
Emily.
or do you have to pay? It's like we get it like in the UK, we have like a deal where you can get, it's like if you stay, I think it's in like, for example, like Caribbean Beach Resort, if you stay there for 2 weeks, you get you get the dining plan for free, you get like photo pass for free, and you're literally not really paying for anything.
So a lot of the packages here that they offer us aren't like that. We will get free dining from time to time.
Yeah.
But here's the problem that you run into with that though. People see free dining and they run to it because it's like, all my food is free. Awesome. But at the same time, the tickets and the room will not be discounted. So if you don't do your research correctly and you just jump at free dining, you might actually be spending a lot more versus if you really wanted that dining plan, buying one of the discounted packages and then adding on the dining plan. But again, at the same time, you really have to figure out what restaurants to eat at, what entree to order at that restaurant to actually make the most of it. I have found, based on calculators that I've used doing research to determine if it's a good thing or not, that I would actually be spending about $200 more per person by buying even the quick service dining plan versus not buying the dining plan. And that's just because some of the sizes of the entrees are just so big and some of the food is just so much that I even find for myself, even if I don't have the dining plan, I don't find myself wanting to buy 2 snacks a day. So if I have the dining plan that says I have 2 snacks a day, again, that's a lot more food that I'm going to want to eat while I'm there.
And with the deluxe dining plan, it's way too much food that a normal human should eat in a couple of days. I mean, that was horrible. But like, and I like Disney food, and that was just way too much. All right. But when you do your math, you figure out like I've done a lot of math with basic restaurants and all of that for every single dining plan that there is. The quick service, in my opinion, is the least worth it out of all of them because it is expensive. Right? And you would need to go to the most expensive quick services and get the most expensive items in order to make it worth it. Other than with the regular dining plan or the deluxe dining plan, you have a little bit more flexibility. But still, if you don't do it right, you're going to waste a lot of money than what you would have if you just paid out of pocket.
But you personally still do the dining plan.
I don't know anymore because right now, so we first originally were planning our restaurants according to the dining plan. Now we're doing the planning without the dining plan, and I'm seeing because you get a lot more flexibility when you don't have the dining plan. There are less restrictions. Maybe you want to go to a restaurant, you don't want an entree, maybe you want to order some appetizers, and you'll be fine. You could do that paying out of pocket. You can't do that with the dining plan. So there's a lot more flexibility, and that's a discussion that I could have for hours.
Here's one thing. I have 2 things I want to point out here. One's actually a question that I want to pose to Andy, but the other one is talking about like the free dining plan as well. So, for example, my trip from November 3rd to November 8th. Yeah, I'll say when I'm there, whatever. The reason I ended up going through Disney and renewing my annual pass, even though I canceled it, which is a whole other conversation in its own, which I don't have time for that, is because the discount that we ended up saving on a room at Grand Destino Tower for 5 nights was a total of $600 or $375 per person between me and my girlfriend, right? So that $375 savings for my pass holder discount goes back to thinking, how much food am I going to eat in 5 nights? And is that going to total that $375? Because if it was a free dining promotion, I wouldn't be saving that money. So it kind of goes into, again, that thinking of how much food are you actually going to eat? And for someone who eats chicken nuggets at pretty much every meal, don't worry, Emily, that's me I'm talking about here. That's $12.50. multiply that 2 times a day, $25, 5 days, $125 there. So no, it doesn't make sense for me. But my question is to Andy. So, on your Instagram, you ran that contest about what the best Disney resort is, right? And you and I had a brief conversation about how you have never actually stayed at a Disney resort.
Correct.
So for someone like you, how do you feel if like free dining was listed as a promotion? Is that something that would get you to want to stay there? Or like if, you being someone who has never stayed there?
Right. So like you're asking if I, for instance, get a resort stay and I get free dining at the parks.
Yeah, would that be something to draw you in, or would you rather save 30% on the room? Like if you don't do your research, right? And you're like, I'm going to stay at a resort for the first time. Would you rather be told, hey, I'm going to save 25% or free dining? What's going to draw you in more? If you're just a regular family that's looking to stay at a Disney resort.
I mean, personally, I love the food at the Disney parks. I would almost lean towards like I would be okay with the idea of free dining unless like the idea is it depends on like what the cost is. If I'm planning out my day, if I'm planning out like, okay, what am I doing? How much am I spending at Disney? Like I typically would not lean like whenever I've come down to Disney or anywhere, I never want to stay at a resort because in my opinion, it's overpriced. Unless you're looking at like one of the cheaper resorts, kind of like All Stars or any of those guys or Pops or something like that.
So really quickly, I don't mean to interrupt you, but a irreputable or reputable Disney news service, whatever you want to call them, we're not going to oust them, just released breaking news that the Disney Fast Pass Plus service will be returning in 2021.
Well, there you go.
2021.
Wow.
Oh, so that's
Talk about perfect timing, man.
Publication.
That one, yes.
Oh, wait.
The one that we all know what we're talking about.
Oh, my favorite
Yes.
source, honestly, the most reliable. I can't wait for the Country Bear layover. I'm really excited for that. I'm still waiting.
With them,
Yeah,
the rumors. Just don't listen to the rumors.
It's truth.
No, but I like their actual in-park reporting because I feel like they do a really good job with it.
Yes, they have
But
great writers.
rumors,
Terrible sources.
Yeah.
but rumors, just don't forget about it. Don't listen to them.
If a certain person who we'll call them a certain YouTuber, we'll call them mini watchers instead of their real name. If they happen to do a video on it, then I'll believe it.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Confused, but okay.
But anyway,
Mini news, we'll call them mini news.
Oh yeah. I'm so slow. Okay, this is an actual question. So I met up with my friend Danielle this week. And this is a good
Who
question.
is that?
My friend Danielle,
Who?
I met with her. We filmed like 6 videos ago. She's really great. She had to make this choice. What choice would you make? Because I'm disappointed in the choice she made. So she was staying in Caribbean Beach Resort, I think, when it was under construction during Irma. And they had this choice. She got $1,000 per person or a free upgrade to the Contemporary for the rest of her trip. She was there for 2 weeks. They were offering her a park view, and this was on day 3 of their trip. What decision would you have made? I just think it's an interesting question.
this is difficult because I don't know what like the cost of like a typical resort stay would be, nor like like what the situation is. Like let's just say like she spent like $1,000. Let's just say
she spent £2,000 as a whole for 3 of them to stay in Caribbean Beach Resort.
So she would have made money if she took the money.
correct.
Yes.
I would have taken the money.
I would have made
I would
money.
have taken the money. Well, here's the thing. Like it's great. It's
That's
great to make
getting-
money.
That's
It's
getting
great
paid to go to
make money,
Disney.
But bucket list item for me is to stay in a theme park room at the Contemporary or Bay Lake Tower. So if it's one of those that it's given to me at that time with no money coming out of my pocket, I'm probably gonna take it. But again, it comes down to the research and being like, wait, if I'm getting $1,000 back and I spent $900 on this vacation.
Oh, see, she didn't save the money. She spent it. So she didn't make money.
Well, no, of course you're spending it, but like I'm saying, if you're spending
Yeah,
$900 on the vacation and you're getting $1,000 back, you're technically making $100, and of course all that money is going back into Disney with whatever spending.
Yeah.
But you're still saving money in the long run. But again, for me, bucket list, yeah, give it to me. I'll even sleep on the balcony where the monorail goes over. You don't even need to give me a real room. That's fine.
So like, what is your like? Does everybody have like a dream like resort stay? So like, mine's the Grand Floridian. Like that is something that I want to like.
Ooh, Polynesian bungalows.
Yeah, Polynesian bungalow.
Wilderness lodge cabins.
Ooh,
Ooh.
that's a very like reasonable
All-star music.
choice.
Family suite.
Don't honestly, that's the dream for me. Where did they stay instead?
But I have a question for all of you guys. What is your favorite resort?
Polynesian.
I've only been to one. Oh, Wanna Be Mouseketeer!
I mean, I love the Polynesian, but at the same time, through the mid-90s, before Emily was alive, I was staying at like the old Key West every single year. So like I grew to love the atmosphere and environment of that resort. And then when I turned 18, I was like, I want to go to Disney. And I was like, I'm going to stay at the old Key West. All-star movies it is. As an 18-year-old, I can't afford over $400 a night. Come on.
I'm not gonna lie. I look back and I think, why did I stay in Art of Animation? Should have just stayed in All Star Sports, because I will say I spent like £2,000 in that room because obviously that's made for four and it was just me. And with the amount of time, aka 48 hours, that was spent in that room, it was not worth it. That is one of my. Oh, that's a good one. Do any of you have any like Disney regrets? Mum, you stayed in Port Orleans? What? And you haven't taken me to a Disney resort? That's rude. Oh, where should my parents take us for my 21st birthday trip? Oh, brilliant.
Polynesian.
All that. Or any mum. But yes, anybody have any
to All-Star Sports.
No.
All-Star Sports.
No. Does anybody have any like Disney regrets? Like something that they're like, oh, I wish I hadn't have done that.
I do.
Oh, what's
Taking
your
my exes. I mean,
Ooh.
Ooh. Ooh. Ooh.
Yikes.
Okay.
Wow.
My biggest one would be I wish that I had actually chosen to go part-time, full-time at the end of my college program. Instead
Oh,
of
that's gonna make me like cry.
oh, come on, Andy.
Ready for that?
It's true. That's my biggest Disney one.
One of my biggest regrets is on my second to last day, I decided to rope drop the People Mover, and then I forgot to watch the Castle Stage Show, and I didn't see Fairy Godmother open the park, and it hasn't sat with me right since.
Rough.
Big sad. Does anyone else have any? Oh, also, how do I phrase this politely? I regret not spending as much time on my own on my trip as I did with other people. I think I would have had a lot of fun, for example, if I did Epcot solo rather than I always did Epcot with friends. Because it's like walking around the World Showcase 4 times in one day has not been allowed to Epcot for me. I think one of my biggest regrets is that. And then another one would be not having seen Enchanted Tales of Belle.
Oh,
I didn't know where it was, so I never did it. I couldn't find it. And I'm too like socially awkward to ask, so I just didn't do it as a consequence.
It's like right next to Be Our Guest.
Wow, you think as someone that went there 5 times in one trip, I would have seen that.
Especially because sometimes I accidentally end up at Enchanted Tales.
No, I did not see it at all. So go on it and watch it.
Perfect.
As weird as this is, like, I was going to say, all of my regrets is something that I've done, but I've just never kept up with it, is keeping the maps from each time I go.
Oh.
Because I will collect them, and I'll be like, I'm going to save these, and then, you know, I'll be like, I'm going to do something with them, and then I just never do anything with them, and then I end up just throwing them away, because it's like, all right, I remember being there, and I don't have a project in mind I'm going to do with these. Like, I have the project in mind of, like, doing the back of my pin board with the maps, but at the same time, it's just like, I don't feel like cutting them up. I don't feel like, it's just, but I do wish that like I had the maps even back to like my first visit, like 1992. Like that would be something cool to look back on, but they're available online, so it's fine.
Yeah, they're not too bad on eBay.
Yeah.
So sticking true to my name and my brand, right? The biggest Disney food regret that I have, and I bet my family will agree with me, is not going to signature dining locations earlier.
Okay.
Also eating at Paradiso 37 and San Angelin.
Oh,
horrible
like
diving experiences.
Paradiso. I
This
like
is Sarah's
Paradiso.
regret. Andy, you need to fix this.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I want to know why. Why? It's not
Because
doing it.
you don't want to walk around wet.
No, why does she regret not doing it? Like,
I will
Because
say one thing about Sierra. Sierra's tolerance for rides has been increasing and improving in leaps and bounds, and I'm incredibly proud of her for everything she does. And so honestly, having regrets about that's completely normal, and I think that she shouldn't feel bad about it, and especially because she can hear everything I'm saying right now. So I'm
she's watching.
100% saying there's no need for regrets there. I feel like, and it's unlike what many influencers might be saying. I think it's definitely not going anywhere, anytime soon. So,
what, you mean we don't need to be writing love letters to it daily?
sorry, what?
Okay, now we speak about regrets. Something that you would like on your next trip. So whenever we all get back, what is like the first thing you're gonna do? So it can't be a ride, like an experience thing. So like for me, my number one next thing is I want to sit on the hub grass and I just want to people watch. Like I really am desperate to like sit, listen, watch, and eat ice cream.
Not fall asleep this time?
When did I fall asleep?
You ate ice cream and then fell asleep.
You know what? That does sound like something I did. Do you know what's really good? Ice cream with chicken nuggets, like dipped chicken nuggets. It's
Okay,
really
yeah.
Randy, it's good, isn't it? Especially McFlurry. McFlurries with chicken nuggets.
No, Wendy's chicken nuggets and their Frosties.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have no idea what that is. I'm really sorry.
Sorry, what Wendy? When Wendy puts it in the fries, Wendy.
Speak like that. Rude. Wait, say this word. Say these few.
Say
I'm
what?
different because you're from like fake Canada. I don't think I spell it right.
Which chat are you? What chat is this going on?
South of me.
I'm trying to think of one more word.
I know about word. Pip cheerio. Paul McCartney was a Beatle.
Right, those three. I want to see if you say them different because you're from Canada.
Water, aluminum, and howdy.
You do say water like a New Jerseyan.
Howdy.
Water.
Does anyone know if there's a high school for Toy Story Mania?
Yeah.
No one can answer me this question. I've asked several people recently.
What is that?
I've seen people get like 600,000 plus.
I have no idea how.
Is there like a Galactic Hero version? Like, is there?
No.
I don't think there's a high score.
No, so like there's not.
Well, I think 999,999 is the biggest because of the number of slots on the score. But
that must be impossible to reach. I mean, like,
yeah, I've
how
never
do you even do that?
This month high score.
Let's see.
I've made it best this hour once.
Yeah, I've made it best this hour once, but it was because I was the first car through that hour.
Oh, I got fastest in my car, but I like highest in my car because I was the only one there. But I took a picture of it and I pretended that I was supposed to.
And one of the articles I just saw
right now on live video that I beat
am better than you. I beat you. There's no evidence that you beat me.
I beat Ryan.
What's the highest scores you guys gotten? What's up? I'm gonna flex on you guys.
1,000. With
like 280 some odd thousand.
I have no idea.
Yeah,
I don't know. I just remember one of my latest ones because it's like the latest video I put on this channel a year ago was like 233,000.
My highest was 340,000. What's up?
Hey, who's hit Galactic Hero around here? Anyone?
I have.
Who's hit Galactic Hero twice in one car?
Ooh.
I'm just waiting for a special day.
That's pro level.
I have the talent. I'm just waiting. I'm hoping. The day hasn't been right yet.
I think I got 4 Galactic Hero buttons back there.
Do it. I literally aim for the targets and I can't do it. I know where they are, and I just
because we have to drive on the right hand side, and so it's a little bit different.
We did maybe we even did. Do you remember, Ryan? We paced ourselves so there was a gap between us. So we wouldn't even get in anybody's way. Like we really tried to perfect it, and none of us did it on that time. Not one of us got it. We just absolute trash. That's the change.
Yeah, I did it on a Halloween party where I got double Black Hero.
That's pro level, man.
I'm just too bad at it. So somebody mentioned earlier, and I completely forgot to like click it. Where did it go? I'm gonna find it now. Here we go. I don't know if this is something we want to discuss or not. I don't think we've discussed it as a group. We may have. We may not.
I mean, I think we briefly discussed it about how we felt like it would be more appropriate to kind of make Tom Sawyer Island its own little Princess and the Frog area. But I mean, at this point, I've kind of gotten over it. It's just like it's unfortunate, but at the same time, let's see what happens.
Maybe a better question: if you had to retheme another ride, which ride would you retheme?
Yeah, in my personal opinion, I think Tom Sawyer is a much more racially insensitive IP than Song of the South.
Because I've heard rumors, isn't like Tom Sawyer Island, Jungle Cruise, and Tiki Room next? I've been told.
Jungle Cruise, yes. Tom Sawyer Island, yes. But I also wouldn't be surprised if, as terrible as it sounds, that Frontierland as a whole is also on the chopping block, just because of like the cowboys and negative views of Native Americans. And
I thought they have a team. They have have a team now of people that go around and they like, I don't know the word, I don't know the correct phrases, but they like go, I don't know the word is.
That's a fact, actually. So I've actually seen people coming to Indiana Jones, Muppets, like thinking what they could do with the area. However, I've talked with them, and they're like, we love these rides, we love these attractions. Whenever we go to an area like that, it's not like how can we ruin this thing. It's like how is this area of the park living up to its best potential? Is it taking in as many guests as it needs to be efficient? Or is there ways that we can improve it? Like that's the logic. With Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, to its credit, it's able to funnel in a ton of people from the outside, just because they have. It's a great system in how it works, especially with the two theaters. When it's working like that, it's a great aspect for being able to funnel in guests. It's not like Great Movie Ride where
trains. You said there's two theaters. Like, is it like Toy Story Mania? Is there like two versions?
So basically, kind of how it works is you enter in the Chinese theater, and then you go in, and then there's two different pre-show rooms.
Oh, okay.
Kind of like Rise of the Resistance.
Yeah.
Or Avatar.
Yes, exactly.
I didn't know there were so many of them.
It's like a holding area before you get into the queue that goes right through the line. I'm not going to tell you like how it gets through there, just in case you want to, not spoil it for yourself, because it's really cool. But that's kind of how they are able to thin the crowds a little bit and keep the line moving a little bit more, is by slowly feeding it through. And I think that's brilliant in what they're doing. It's not like Great Movie Ride where they had like all this capacity on their ride vehicle. I'm not sure how many people in that ride vehicle. That was
40 people or something like that.
I think it was closer to like 100 plus.
Yeah, it was a lot. I mean, it was just a wide ride, and it was, it was great. But like, I think that's what they're looking to do, though. Yeah.
Have there been like any more like Disney rumors recently that anyone's heard about? I haven't like Disney rumors. I have not heard any in a long time.
All the rumors that I've heard are cancellations of projects.
That I have.
Yeah, like Mary Poppins.
Yeah, for a while they were talking about how Little Mermaid was going to go to the Earth. However, I don't know how necessarily true that is. Obviously, now it's coming back, but I wouldn't be surprised. Oh, Kevin.
I'm gonna. He's like that. And then
I think that's a possibility that it might go eventually. That area.
I've heard that whole area, Launch Bay, Muppets. I mean, not Muppets. Disney Junior, Little Mermaid. That whole old animator's courtyard could be completely rethemed to one cohesive theme.
Rivers of Light. Or not?
Oh,
I've heard no replacement of Rivers of Light.
Anything about like Dinoland USA?
No.
I mean, other than the official permanent closure of
Primeval World.
Primeval Whirl.
Did you like that ride? I really liked that ride.
I loved that ride.
Like,
I liked it.
Fun.
If you really just wanted to just get dizzy and have neck pains, that ride was fun to get on.
Yeah.
But I actually did enjoy actually getting on it sometimes.
I think maybe something that would be cool for Animal Kingdom would be to make Beastly Kingdom, which I know they're not going to do, but it feels like it's going to do.
They're never going to do it.
They might.
There is absolutely 0% chance.
Oh, they could just make a unicorn land. I'd be okay with that.
That was literally one of the ideas for Beastly Kingdom was a maze with a unicorn.
Or maybe
unicorns.
What would you even put in that? Like, think like honestly, like talking now. What would you put in the space if you've got rid of Dinoland USA?
They're not getting rid of Dinoland USA. Don't talk about that.
I think they will.
I don't think they will if that's illegal.
I'm not like I wouldn't be upset if Dinosaur left.
I personally chose.
I would. I will like
Dr. Seeker, and that is it.
I love Dinosaur. They cannot do that to my man Dr. Seeker. All right, they got to keep Dinosaur and Dinoland USA. It's not going anywhere.
I would be less upset with Dinosaur leaving than I would Chester and Hester's.
You know, I was almost thinking the other day how much Dr. Seeker's almost like Figment, in the sense like if you think about it, he's one of those other non-IP based characters that people just have grown so much attached to. However, the one difference is Dr. Seeker is sadly not everywhere on merch as much as he should be. But
we need him.
If we're talking about merch that needs to be made, why is there not a single piece of Tumble Monkey merch?
Or yeah,
that's true.
Welcome back.
Thanks.
And we were saying about what your big plan was for the overhaul of the Fifth Gate, and I thought you could continue on with what we were saying.
What?
Hey, we traded places.
Yeah. So what
we did.
What are your thoughts about what Ryan just said about the new?
What made you think I was listening? I was on the
he
phone.
was just saying about how we were going to have a Fifth Gate completely themed around Hercules. I didn't know.
I was on the phone. I did not hear any of this.
We don't talk about that. We talk about Animal Kingdom. Michelle made a good point. There has been so much rumor about a Zootopia themed area going where Rafiki's is. What do we think about that? Like, I'm all for that. I think that would be really cute and could be really educational and fun.
I think it comes back to how it plays off. Is it in Tokyo that it's going first, or Shanghai? Which one is it going?
Shanghai.
Or is it Hong Kong?
No, it's Hong Kong. It's Hong Kong.
Is Hong Kong reopened? Does anyone know?
No, it hasn't yet.
It was, and then it closed again.
Yeah.
I know it closed again. Yeah, Hong Kong. So I mean, I think it's also going to see exactly how it plays off there, but also at the same time, it there's so many other things in line that they're working on that it's just kind of like,
yeah,
is a new land going to be?
I'd rather they fix the the accessibility of Epcot is my biggest thing at the moment that worries me. Because from what I've seen, they're not really doing anything. They're like, they put some pylons up, and they're doing the Guardians coaster, they're going to do ST, but they're not actually like doing anything else. So I just feel like that's.
I feel like right now they are not going to be doing anything new. Right now that they're like financially limited because of everything that's going on, and they want to focus on projects that they have going on right now. They've already had to cancel a bunch of them because of what happened. So I don't think they're going to be planning out anything new, at least for a couple of years.
Are any of you like planning to go for the 50th? Like out of curiosity? Because I was thinking.
Absolutely.
But Andy, I'd hope you would be.
I'm working down there during that time.
Yeah. I just feel like, because I've been obviously I've followed the COVID situation very closely, and looking at the world now and where I thought we were going to be, it's quite interesting on whether or not British people will actually be able to attend the 50th. So I think it'd be interesting to see how much you guys think the 50th is going to go ahead. Like, I know obviously there's rumors about a new nighttime show, there's rumors about a new nighttime parade. It'd be interesting to see if they come into fruition.
Yeah, so I think definitely a fifth gate around Hercules, I think is definitely was that not? Sorry, I gotta stop believing.
Continue, man, continue.
Considering
it's just going to be Mount Olympus.
I feel like it could be something that could happen. I don't know.
Just doubling down.
Do we think they'll make the fifth gate? I feel like no.
If Disney gets the Marvel rights
Yeah.
for Walt Disney World, it's
That-
definitely going to happen.
That's the only reason I think they would ever do that.
I think the only thing too, in terms of a fifth gate, is we have to wait and see when Universal picks up on Epic Universe again, just because that got temporarily canceled. Well, not canceled, but put on the shelf in terms of. So that's Universal's technically fourth gate, but third theme park.
So was it things from Mario Kart? Or was that something else?
That would be one portion of it, yes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, since that kind of got put on the back burner, and I mean, even though this pandemic isn't as, I mean, it's actually kind of worse than September 11th was, and we saw kind of how everything took a hit in terms of September 11th, and how the other side of Pop Century, which is now Art of Animation, got placed on hold, and how many projects got placed on hold because tourism went down. Now, with this pandemic going on, I mean, tourism is still down. But I mean, who knows how quickly it's going to bounce back. So, I mean, in terms of a fifth gate, it all comes back down to seeing how Universal moves forward with their third theme park, since that's already announced. And if they happen to go forward with it and it works well, then maybe something will happen in terms of crowd control. Because I think a fifth gate definitely is needed for crowd control. But who knows? I mean, we're doing fine with 4, right?
Yeah, if a fifth park were to happen, I don't see it happening for another 10, 20 years. I mean, that is like ultimate long term if Disney was even thinking about it. I feel like in terms of major projects, Disney would focus more on currently building new things in the theme parks, maybe new country pavilions finally already in Epcot. Brazil, I want more, just more. But I feel like Disney would focus on that more than a fifth gate.
Is there anything you guys would like bring back? Like old?
Delta Dreamflight, Horizons, World of Motion, Journey to Imagination,
Maelstrom.
Extraterrestrial Alien Encounter.
Really? That's interesting. Very interesting.
Backlot tours.
Yeah, big time.
Mm-hmm.
The original Mickey bars.
Bring back old Hollywood studios.
Yes, they changed. They were originally vanilla ice cream circles with like the eyes on it, and then the ears were the only piece that were chocolate covered.
Oh,
That sounds better.
It was.
Because I am an ice cream sandwich, not a Mickey bar person now.
Mm-hmm.
interesting.
Let me see if I can bring up the picture of the original Mickey bars.
It's sad to think as well that park hopping is a thing of the past because like no one else can do the 8-part challenge. That is a
No,
thing.
park hopping will come back eventually.
Yeah, park hopping is going to be it.
Oh, that is freaky. I don't like it.
I love it.
That is kind of scary.
It's
So much better.
I apparently scared Andy so much with the ice cream, so I would like to apologize with that.
How dare you scare him like that?
Is he lactose intolerant? Is that the
He's gonna have
problem?
nightmares now.
Does anyone have any final questions, comments, anything you want to add?
Besides living with the land is the greatest thing in the whole universe. No.
I don't think I have anything.
Good.
Yeah, I think we're all set.
I think we are.
Andy, are you good?
Hey,
Sorry,
George.
head fire, I'm peeking over.
It's just like.
Hello?
Oh, somebody just said, "Hey." Oh, no, I feel bad.
Hey, George.
Do you reckon he's recovered from his shock? Yes.
I think he might be okay.
Is the ice cream bar that scary, man?
We were just asking if you have any like final questions or comments.
Ooh, the other thing I would bring back is the other song for Carousel of Progress.
There was
Ooh.
another song.
Yes.
No.
I like the original. I like the one that's going on right now.
Listen,
Old
we can
one
have
now.
alternating shows.
But that song is like
No.
dedicated to Walt Disney. It's like
Yeah.
it's like their love letter to him. You can't, and the Sherman Brothers didn't like that other version.
But they still made it.
Right. I
Because of paycheck.
told you why that other one was made, right?
I
Did I ever tell
knew
you why
the
that?
What?
Because of GE, right?
Yes, because GE wanted
Yeah.
people to not wait until tomorrow to buy their products. They wanted them bought now.
Yep.
Did anybody actually buy anything from them after having rode?
Probably not.
Possibly.
That's why they're not sponsoring it anymore.
So weird that Rides have sponsors.
You know,
I mean, Splash Mountain was sponsored by Ziploc.
it's true.
That I get slightly, kind of. To some degree.
But that's a whole nother tangent
Yeah.
for a whole nother live stream.
Yeah.
Does anyone have anything left to say?
MIC cereal. Can I just say that that's the part of the Magical Express that like I cannot.
That should be illegal.
I can't do it.
Bro, they do that show, like they sing that song on cruises as well at the end. Like the final show that they do, the final night, they do that show. They did a different one for me because mine was a very maritime cruise. But I've seen videos, and that is like the most. That should not be allowed.
Yeah, it's
I already cried
more
when I was
heartbreaking
getting
on cruise.
Like when I was getting off my cruise, I already cried. All right, now imagine if they played that song. Dead, just dead. That's it.
Right, I think we will wrap it up there for today. So thank you so much to everybody that came off. We've gone on some very weird tangents there. I feel like if we do this again, we need to come up with like some really cool like to talk about kind of thing. Maybe Kevin can hold the next one.
I mean, we will do a showcase exhibition of our photos.
Oh, so
All right.
mine lasts about 1 minute. Ryan could just post a picture of that one penny on his Instagram. I think that's the only post of 2020, isn't it?
That is literally like one of 3 posts of all of 2020.
That's honestly not like wow. Okay, well, thanks so much everybody for coming. Thank you boys for coming and joining me. Hope you all had a super magical day. If you haven't done so already, be sure to check out in the description. I've left everybody's Instagrams and YouTube channels. So if you want to check those out, that'd be great. Andy posts lots of things because Andy is a Florida local, so he posts lots of things about the parks and adventures. Rod's probably going to have some giant epic trip in December. Sounds like Kevin has a November trip, and then Ryan is going to be back in the parks next week. So if you actually want some up-to-date content rather than my reposted 9,000 times different filter stuff, definitely check the boys out. I hope you all have a super magical day. As always, I'll see you guys real soon. Bye.
Bye.